Hello everyone, welcome back to the third round of the Uppsala Young Champions, the 9th edition 2022. And as you can see, I have with me Simen Agdestein from Norway. Hello Simen.
Hello.
I'm so happy that you are with us today for at least 1 hour to follow the games, because actually you have been training quite a lot of these youngsters that take part in this tournament. I'll see,
Yes.
I check now if you can see if I do it like this. Can you see the screen now, Simen?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then this is, then we go directly to, we do it like this. I'm sorry. Then we do it like this, that I show you in this way instead. I do it like this. Okay, do it like that. And now you can see at least the different games, I hope. On the first board, we have Khan Kukushari against Francesco Zonis. They are both, in the lead with 2 points out of 2. We are playing the third round. And then we have Hampus Sørensen against Elam Abdraulf. And Elam, you know quite well, I know.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about Elam?
He's a fantastic talent. Maybe the biggest we have had since Magnus. He's already about 2,500 and he's 17 years old. So he's going in, and he's going in second class at my school at the moment. And yeah, you can see by yourself, I guess.
Yeah. Of course, I have followed him, of course, not as close as you, but a little on the distance. Can you tell me what makes him such a great talent, Simen?
He wants to play everything all the time. So, for instance, last weekend he took part in a tournament, a local weekend tournament in Norway, where the second highest rate was about 500 elo points above most of the field, and still he just wants to play. He takes part in everything he can in Norway. So the next step for him is kind of to get abroad. He's barely been abroad, actually. He's been to Uppsala once before, and he was to Göteborg a couple of weeks ago, and he was in Finland early this summer, and in Riga, and that's it. That's all he's been. He hasn't played any other foreign tournaments abroad, so I think he needs some international experience.
And that is what is needed to take the next step, I guess.
I think so. I think it's a good idea just to play a lot. We see the Indians are doing that. I remember Vishenand did that many years ago, and Veselin Topalov did that. They went to Spain. They weren't that strong. They were strong, but they kept on playing open tournaments a lot, and then they became world stars. So they love the game, and that's what Elam does too. Just as Magnus, of course, did some years ago. He also played everything.
When we met, because you and I met, I don't know if it was a week ago or something in Oslo when we had this training camp. Then we met Elam also very briefly, but then you said that he's thinking about chess 10 hours a day. Is that correct?
I think he thinks about chess all the time.
Yeah.
So
that is what is needed. Okay, very good. I just thought that what I will do now is just to go through those of your students, so you can give your comments, because also on the next board we actually have I thought about some this I guess you know Tor Fredrik Kåsen as well quite a lot.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little about Tor Fredrik?
Yeah, he's the kind of the similar type. He also wants to play all the time, so which is a good sign, of course. He loves the game. He's serious about it. He trains the coach and trains by himself. So he's spending all his time just focusing on chess these days. So the question is, now it's just a matter how far his talent can bring him, because he's doing everything he can.
Yeah, He seems to be very ambitious and, you know, working hard with the game and so on. So yeah, that's great. Okay, and then I move on to another player I think you know of, and that is Gustav Törngren.
Yes.
That is actually a Swedish player, but how come that you know something about him?
He's also my student. I have two Swedish students at the moment. I've had some, quite a few over the years. At the moment, it's Gustav and Ludwig Karlsson.
Yes, we will come to
So
him because he's also participating. So yes.
yeah, but Gustav is also talented. He can be very strong at his best, but sometimes he plays strange openings, as you might have discovered.
Yes.
And he likes to go his own ways. So it's a little bit up and down. Sometimes I saw he struggled a lot to David Ness here at in Uppsala. For instance, a player normally should beat quite easily. But so he's capable of beating everyone and losing to everyone, perhaps.
Okay, so it's quite uneven in that sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's never boring with Gustav.
Okay. Before we continue, I just think that when you say this with your student, maybe we should actually present your activity in Norway, because you have one main job, I know, but you've also this MTG that I would like you to tell us a little bit about. But then you also just been the president of actually the full federation. So it seems like you are doing everything. Can you tell me a little bit about all your activities in Norway, Simen?
Yes, I was the president last year. I was it for 1 year only, and I actually spent quite a lot of time on it, which is interesting because there are lots of people spending a lot of time doing voluntarily work, which is easily forgotten. So it took a lot of time. It was quite stressful too, I must admit. But my main job basically has been to run this chess department at Norges Toppidrettsgymnas, the Norwegian College of Elite Sports. So there are lots of sports there, and I run the chess department. I've done that for the last, since 1998.
Yes,
So
it's for a very long time, and I always say that you should know that you are the secret behind the Norwegian wonder when it comes to all these great players that you have been helping to shape, I would say. Not the least Magnus, of course, but also all the others. Most of them have been to your classes.
Yeah, basically almost all of them. So at the top class in the Norwegian Championship, normally 8 out of the 10 best comes from my school, sort of.
Yes.
So
and just to go back to that, how much chess do you have in this chess college? Because we speak about from 16 and up, that's correct. I mean, the children are, you know, when they are 16, they come up to your classes and they continue for 3 years or something like that. Yeah.
Yes. We train kind of every morning, 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of mornings, we spend a little bit time on, well, every Wednesday, then we have chess until 12:15, so we have quite a lot of time. So then we started playing soccer, actually. Everyone seems to love playing soccer, so that's okay with me. So every Wednesday we play soccer. But and every Tuesday morning we do some physics too. But basically, so maybe a couple of hours every day.
And
in
total, so is it 10 or 15 hours a week or something like that in total? Or
yeah. And we go to two tournaments together also at least a couple of times a year. We were just in Riga, the whole class, which is very fun. Then we go all of us and a few others too, very often. So we were about 18 youngsters or something in Riga and me. And that's the best thing we do, go on trips. So
and you actually play yourself quite a lot during this.
Well, I try to play as little as possible because stressful. I kind of have performed I don't need to perform anymore. So at the moment, I'm more like I just enjoy being there, looking at the games a little bit because the main job they do themselves, I must say. I'm there to look at the games afterwards and so on, but they prepare on their own before, and there are so many of them, and there are so many games. So, but just going together
Yeah.
is kind of the main benefit of the whole project. I think that
Yes.
there are 16 good youngsters
So
together.
you have 16 students at the
Yeah,
right now. Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Okay, so and we can see that some of them is participating in this tournament. And
Yeah.
let's move on to the other Swede that we have, and that is Ludwig Karlsson that is playing here.
Yeah.
What do you say about Ludwig?
Yeah, he became an IM. I think he's been a very good, talented player for a long time. So when he came to my school, he just became an IM right away, which is of course because he's done a good job before he came to the school. That was a boost for us. Very nice person. Um, so he knows a lot of chess. Uh, so he's also a little bit up and down. He's such
Yeah.
a nice guy. Doesn't seem to bother to lose, it seems sometimes, which is a bit strange because for most of us it's horrible to lose. But he
Yes.
seems to be in good shape, whatever the result is, which is not necessarily a good thing for a chess player because you kind of should hate a little bit to lose
For me, it
because
always
then
felt
you,
like Ludwig is loving the game so much that it's much more than much more important than winning or losing. Is that is the correct?
yeah, kind of,
Page?
and yes, it's very optimistic. It seems to think that everything goes fine, even though it sometimes doesn't. But he's just as happy anyway. So he's a fantastic person to have in the group.
I'm
Wonderful.
happy to hear that. I totally
Yeah,
agree. As far as I have met him in training camps and so on, I totally agree with you. So they're happy for that.
yeah.
What about? Do you have any more players? Is it Sondre? Do you know him?
Yeah, he just went out to the school last year.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I guess he should become. He has some potential for more. I guess he's about 2200 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yes, 22,
And
23 at least, according to
2223.
my notes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's spending another year just on chess now, or not
Mm-hmm.
just on chess. He's going to this high school or högskola
Mm-hmm.
um, year off, kind of before you study something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so he's also playing a lot of chess for a year, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
before maybe starting studying or something.
Mm-hmm.
But a nice guy. Uh, he's also capable of beating everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also, well, to be honest, most of the games of my students are decided by big blunders.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that is a bit sad to say, but very often big blunders decide games. And Sondre seems to have much more, yes, potential for more because sometimes he wastes very good positions.
I see. Okay, is there anyone else in the field that you can give us your thoughts about
Yes,
that we
yes, I
have
have a
here?
couple of more students in the field.
Yes, please enlighten me.
Well, we have David Nesse.
Yeah, David
He's going
Nesse.
in third grade. He
Yeah.
managed to draw Gustav, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Was completely winning. It was +7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took perpetual chess, which is quite stupid.
Yes.
Uh, so it's the same there. Is our best. We often start with the solving studies at my school,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason he might actually be the best study solver. His
Mm-hmm.
rating is only 800, but fantastic at solving studies.
Mm-hmm.
And in his games, everything can happen. For instance, being +7 and then forcing a perpetual, a draw, which is extremely stupid. That's why his rating is only 1800, because strange things happened.
I see.
But I have another one. Semen Mituso.
Let's see.
Is
Yes,
a
this is the
Ukrainian
Ukrainian guy,
refugee.
huh? This is the Ukrainian guy, huh?
Yeah, he came just after the war broke out. He just kind of knocked on the door 3 days, just some days after the war broke out. Managed to get out of the country with his mother, and they knocked on the door. And since then, he's been at my school. And since then, he took 3 IM norms. He's
But
also playing
how strong
everything.
was he when he came to you? I mean, how strong was he then?
His rating was maybe 2,200 or something, but now he's 2415. I see.
Yes.
But it was obvious that he was much stronger. It was obvious that he was IM level, and the results also show that. He's played on IM level since he came to Norway. So maybe he hadn't been playing so much for since he came from Krematorsk in Ukraine.
Yes.
This country, one of the cities that you read about in the news that are bombed and so on.
Yeah.
So it might have been difficult, but he's been good for years, for some time. I think he came third or something in European Championship under 14 some years ago. But he's only 16, and we managed, not without struggling, to get him into the school. Lots of formalities that had to be done, and but now that we managed, and things seems to settle down very well. And he's playing everything he can, just as Elam is doing.
Yeah.
So these two might very easily become GMs quite soon, I guess. Those two guys and Tor Fredrik Kosen.
Yeah.
These are the most perhaps
Talented ones that you have.
Yeah. Perhaps
see.
our next GMs, and maybe all of them will become GMs quite soon.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
So,
but we shouldn't focus on titles, by the
No.
way, because then you certainly will not become well. Then you become stressed and so on. But they have the potential to develop more,
Yeah.
and they're working well with the game.
And I guess, of course, that Mitsov came as a refugee from Ukraine. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but he's living in Oslo, and he then studies at NTG full time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're living in the neighboring municipality, Bærum. It was important to get him to Bærum because he could have been sent anywhere in the country. If he hadn't struggled, he might.
This was one of the struggles you had, I guess, huh?
Oh yes. We needed to get an apartment for him, and then suddenly his father and brother also came. So then they suddenly needed an apartment for 4, not only for 2. And these things takes a lot of time. Don't know how many Ukrainian refugees there has come to Norway, but there are quite a lot, and everything takes time. So
I must say, for me personally, that I know you so well through the years, Simen, I think this is one of the great things what you do in NTG and so on, is that you bring in the soul to what you do. I mean, I've seen the support that you give to the children. I have seen you have been fighting and calling them and showing a real interest in what they do. And for me as a trainer, I think this is one of the most important things, is actually to be, the ones that they can turn to if there is any problems, or that they feel that you really want them to succeed and do good stuff. And I think that's a real strength that you have in all that you do.
Absolutely, thank you. And thank you. There are lots of practical things.
Yep.
For instance, financing things, just paying. It doesn't have a credit card, how to manage, and things like that. It doesn't have the money, but people are paying for him around. So there are lots of nice people making it possible for Simen to play chess, actually.
I think that's fantastic. Well, we do in Stockholm Chess Federation. We have one initiative to support, children refugees from Ukraine, but it's not on this level. This is the beginner's level that we speak about. But I think there is about 18 or 19 children with their mothers and so on, training once a week. Actually, with Edvin Trost, who is here, is one of the leaders, and his mother and brother and so on. That I try to support if I can, and as much as I can, I try to support them. Initiative to support the Ukrainian refugees, but of course, they are not chess players. Here we speak about someone that is talented, and I think that he has come to the right place. But do you think we should go to the first games? And as you are on, I would be happy to, if you started to comment a little bit on this game. It's between Hampus Sørensen against Elam Adraulf. And for me, I think this is quite interesting. I don't know how much you know Hampus. I know you have met him, of course, and so on. But he is a little bit like Elam in a way. He's very devoted. He's thinking about chess almost all the time. He's one of those that we hope for to take this step towards the GM title. He is not on the same level as Adraulf, but he's really, really devoted to try to develop further on. So what are your thoughts when it comes to this game?
I don't see it on the Zoom link, by the way, but I see it on the net. So I guess he just played the bishop h4, right?
Yeah, but we can. Okay, then I will see if I can. Do you don't see it on the screen? You don't?
No, I see it on the internet.
Okay. Then do you are okay? I see. That's a bit strange, but 2 seconds. I'll see if I can.
Which is maybe okay. If we are.
See if I can.
Same position.
See if you can, if it's possible here to do something for you so that you can see it better. I don't know. I also have a very strange view here. But maybe I need to talk to the technician a little bit later on. But
I don't know if the others see the screen.
Yeah, but, I think the others see the screen.
Yeah, but because it's okay with me if we just synchronized. Okay. You just played bishop h4, right?
Yeah, but I would like to start from the very beginning. I'm on d4, 1d4. Do you know anything about the players, how they think before the game, how they prepare, and so on? I know, of course, about Hampus is very serious when it comes to preparations. But I don't know if you have seen the 2 games that Elam has played so far. But was very, very interesting was that in the first round, he played a super solid line of Caro-Kann as black.
Yes.
Took on with e-take f6. Just giving white, an extra pawn in the center and so on. But on the other hand, all tactics are gone. And then, a little bit worse, of course, in the middle game, step by step, just outplaying the opponent with, very good play, I think. And then the second game, the first game of today, fantastic attacking game, completely different from the first one.
Yeah.
What is your reaction to that?
Well, he's capable of everything. He can play all kinds of chess, but normally, or some years ago, his big weakness was the openings. He knew simply nothing. I mean, nothing. He was totally knew nothing, and he played horrible openings. And when you're talking knew nothing, I'm not sure if he knows who the first world champion is, for instance. Not sure if he knows about Wilhelm Steinitz. So he's totally what is it called? Unschooled or
an autodidact, maybe. An autodidact.
Autodidact for sure. He's just played a lot.
Yeah.
And that seems to work. Maybe I'm not sure about Nakamura and Firuccia and so on. They also play a lot, I think.
Yes, and I think about when you had Ariantari as well. He was a little bit the same style, wasn't he? Playing everything you could,
Yeah, but he's been training with coaches and he's really been trained. He has a good repertoire. Elam just needs a position. And it can go on for a long time. It doesn't matter. It can be very slow. And eventually will win. It's a bit like Magnus Carlsen in that way. It's a good calculator. So in this second game, with this Sicilian, when he sacrificed pieces and so on, then he's at his most dangerous. So if he just get a repertoire with openings like that, then he can really become good. Because his intuition is brilliant. He plays light and easy and fast, and he certainly is dangerous. He sees tactics quickly. So this second game here is both games are typical of him actually. Totally different games, but he can play very slow openings. He can play 1b3, and maybe after 40 moves he get a slight advantage, and then eventually wins. And then he can play suddenly brilliant games like Tal in Sicilian.
Okay.
But he needs to do this against better opponents because he's kind of winning with 9 and 9 out of 9 in all things he plays around these days. When he plays a Blitz tournament, he very often wins all the games. So I'm looking forward to seeing him playing stronger opponents.
Me too, for sure. So in this game, that means that what you say here, that probably he does not have really a preparation for this game against Hampus. Is that what you're trying to say?
He's capable of playing, but he's working on his openings now. Now it's completely different. Now he spends 10 hours, all the time, and including looking at openings. So it's a totally different story now. But it's kind of his openings repertoire is very limited. He needs to get something else. If we play e4, e5 against him, or he needs to have something more against e5. He has some horrible openings. Quite a bad repertoire, actually.
I see.
But so the day he learns openings, he will become much better.
That's quite interesting because normally youngsters, they're focusing quite a lot of openings and maybe don't do the work when it comes to endings and, we come to strategy and so on. But Elam obviously is the opposite, it seems.
But they're spending time on openings now, which is good because that's needed. I think beating all these young, weaker guys is good for the confidence. So I think it's okay actually to play weaker players. Very often you say that you need to get strong opponents to improve and so on. But sometimes it's very good for the confidence to beat weaker players. That might be actually even more important than struggling against very strong players.
I believe that what you always need is to find this balance, I work according to the 25-50-25 concept with my students. 50% should be against equal strength, 25% of your games should be against weaker opponents to learn how to win, and then 25% should be against stronger opponents, so that you feel the next level. This is what I try to reach when I can coach the student. But let's take a look at d4, knight f6, c4, e6. We have knight c3 and now d5. Is that an opening, the Queen's Gambit, that he is normally playing?
His opening repertoire is very limited, as I say. So, for instance, normally the Nimsinian is very solid, but then might play anything, and Elam certainly is not prepared on everything. So they just plays d5 just to get the position a long game.
So c take d5, e take d5, and bishop g5. This is one of the main lines. c6, e3, bishop d6, and bishop d3. So how well prepared is he for this type of? Because this is one of the main lines these days,
Yeah, is bishop d6?
No, bishop d6 is not. That's why I asked you, because bishop d6 is not the most common move. If I'm not an expert. You know me, Simen. This is not my best area either, But
But certainly Elam knows what he's doing when he plays bishop d6. He knows these things.
Yeah, because
this position. He's probably prepared bishop d6.
Yeah, because he was spending so little time as well in the opening, so he must have been prepared. I thought.
Yeah, but he's also the type who might bluff. He might just play something just to pretend this knows what he's doing. Is that kind of guy?
Okay, so castling and then knight f3. I thought bishop queen c2 or something was normal here, and knight e2. But
Yeah, I need to check because I don't have a clue what is normal here.
No,
But
okay.
I check it. I'm just looking at chess now, and I see that some people are playing knight c3, knight f3, Wesley So, for instance.
Then it's
So,
probably okay, I guess.
so it is played before.
Mm-hmm. So
Normally,
knight
queens.
f3, rook e8 came.
The
Yeah.
special thing here is that the queen doesn't go to c2. That's a normal move, I think.
Exactly. Queen to c2 is normal, but now he's having another plan. He's went for castling, bishop g4, and now queen b3.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. I've never
Nope.
seen the position before at all, I must say.
Nope.
So, seems like Elam is taking a chance to pin the knight on f3.
Yeah.
Then maybe you have to play queen b3 because you get a tempo by threatening on
b7, yes.
b7.
But
But
maybe if you mean if
I
he takes on
noticed,
f3, you maybe go for taking on b7. Is that the case?
I'm not sure if that works actually because
No.
I'll see like things like take on h2 or something. But
Yeah, this might be dangerous, you know.
But it might not work. But yeah, maybe. Well, it's become an interesting position. He's prepared. I see that in his next move, he also allows bishop takes f3, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So it makes
So
it
probably,
interesting.
so what you believe is that after queen b3, maybe after take on f3, you just take back with a pawn. That's what you think.
Yeah, I intentionally do not look at the computer because then I would not be able to think.
Of course.
So I don't know what the computer says, but I guess Hampus' intention was simply to take back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. That's my guess, you know. And
Yeah.
okay, but because knight a6 came, and I guess the
Which
idea
is a quite talented move, I would say.
Yeah.
Because
if
it
you
shows,
take on b7, the idea is to play knight b4, of course, you know.
yeah, that traps the queen,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows some talent. He's not afraid of bishop takes a6, which could be something you might easily be afraid of, because he could follow up with knight a4, for instance, preventing c5. So it's not that obvious.
No. This is because you have this pressure on the c6 pawn, you have the c5 square for the knight and so on, but I guess that it is also the attack might come, you know. Moves like queen c7, threatening to take on f3, and then knight e4 or something like that. You have to watch out with white.
But it's not totally out of the question just to take on h6 and play bishop h4, just to include it. But I guess it doesn't. So he can do the next move if he wants to.
So what do you think about bishop to h4 in this position?
It does makes it interesting. I think these guys that shows the talent. They're thinking on their own.
Yep.
And they're creating ideas. And that's good. Kind of a sign of a talent that you're simply thinking, creating ideas. That's every position is unique. Isn't that what the Russians say? The old Soviet school. So the only way to understand the position is simply to analyze it. And here comes queen b6.
That is also really, in a way, provocative, because the pieces are put up in a way that you normally never see. You know, here you can actually take on f6, for example. That looks normal to me, you know.
Exactly. Here you give and take. Taking on f6 must be very natural now.
Yep, I agree. Not the least if you swap queens as well, and you know, maybe you play h3 or something to threatening the bishop on g4 or something like that, you know.
But the main thing, the important thing here is I don't think white can take on b6. I think that's quite makes the pawn structure so bad on the queen side there.
But what about take on b6 and then play a3? That must be one possibility. And then go to knight h4 and so on.
Yeah, but then I guess you should include taking on f6.
Yeah, first my idea was first to take on f6 because that's obvious. G take f6.
But it's just not necessarily. I guess G takes f6, but just a little bit calculating on queen takes b3 and a knight b4 perhaps.
Knight to b4 in this position. Okay, we take a look.
But then you could take on h7 and win a pawn. So, but still, it's worth to have a look at it.
But
because
I think bishop e5 is very strong in that position, isn't it? Isn't it winning a piece?
Covering backwards.
Yeah,
that's a clever move.
And if you take with bishop, knight will take, you know, threatening to take on g4. And that seems to be, yeah, that must be very good for white.
That's position. A clever move. So then we guess you just take back on f6 then?
Yep, take on f6. And now this is I mean, in this position, I think that it's knight h4 that is the move that I would like to play, or to take on b6. Yes. Take on b6 and then play knight h4. That's what I was thinking about. And then if knight b4, you play bishop f5, maybe.
Yeah, but I guess black takes the chance to take on b3 and to have that pawn structure.
So you mean that after taking on f6, you take on b3 first? You mean?
I guess you take back just to avoid thinking too much about bishop takes a6.
Yeah, because otherwise you take on a6 and the rook takes on a6, isn't that?
Right. So
I guess
you have to take back.
Take f6 in that position.
Yes.
Then you take on b6, a take b6, and knight h4. That was at least my
idea. So you take on b6 there. I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's possible. Makes sense. But while black is happy with the pawn structure on the queen side, maybe just put the bishop on g6 or something and start rerouting that knight on a6 somewhere. So ideally, that knight should be on.
This is nothing to be afraid of for Elam, you believe? Or
I think what he's looking for, unbalance. And it takes an f6. I guess that's it has to. Has to go for this.
That came, and g take f6. He needs to play that. So what do you think is the best solution for? Is it to go?
It's worth. I don't think it's smart, but it's worth considering bishop takes f3. It's not necessarily stupid either.
What do you think about after bishop take f6, g take f6? You go back with queen to c2. What do you think about that?
That's a good idea. If it works.
Yes.
And it seems to work.
But maybe knight b4, take on h7 check, king g7, and then rook h8.
Right. Good point.
Maybe. I don't know. This is tricky.
Good point.
Position.
Good point.
Yeah, I would be a bit afraid.
Yeah, it's a strange position. Maybe you can just play bishop f5 then and allow taking on f3 and so on.
So what do you mean? So do you mean queen c2 in that position?
Yeah, I don't see what you're looking at, but yes, continue.
The thing was, I took on f6, g take f6, queen c2, and then knight to b4.
Yeah.
Now you're threatening the queen on c2 and the bishop on b3.
You don't necessarily have to play knight b4. You could also play king g7. But it's a bit annoying with the knight coming to f5, of course, with knight h4.
But don't you think it's good to play knight b4 to threaten?
Yes.
You know, to swap off the bishop.
Absolutely.
So I don't think you can allow that. So if you want to avoid swapping, actually that is not possible.
You can't. Who can't allow what?
I mean, you know, I think it's quite in this position. White has got quite a tough choice to make here.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's as you queen b4 or sorry, knight b4, queen c2 here. He took back. Queen c2.
And knight b4. If I play knight b4, what do you want to do then?
Yeah, bishop takes h7.
King g7.
Queen b1, you have to do.
And then rook h8.
Bishop f5.
That was the line you wanted to go for. Okay, see.
Yeah.
Okay, and then take on f3.
G takes.
G take and maybe rook take or
f4.
And then the other rook to h8.
Oh, that looks scary, doesn't it?
This is our game over, I think, almost. You know.
I'm not sure game over. You have queen g4, queen d1 or something. But
But it looks dangerous, doesn't it?
It looks dangerous, but it's not necessarily steep because you're following up with bishop queen d3 and it looks like you can hold the army on the queen side away from the king.
Okay. Well, a very special situation because it feels
Yes,
like
very
black has got a
special.
really dangerous attack going on, you know.
Maybe it's balanced. I'm not sure. Maybe white is even better. You just play queen d1 and queen f3 and pretend the rooks are not doing anything on the h5.
What about queen d8, queen g8, and then king f8?
Scary,
I
absolutely.
don't know.
But I have time for king d1 and king f3 and lifting my rook and escaping with my king, I think.
Okay. Another idea I see here is to play bishop take on f4. Is that possible? I don't know. Okay, you say, okay, queen d1. I just want to say that's queen d1. How do you continue there?
I'm not sure. You're talking about rook h8.
Yeah, rook h8 and then queen d1 was your suggestion, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, very strange position from my eye, but of course you have, I know white has got in that sense a winning pawn structure, but okay. So let's
maybe not even rook d1. Maybe even rook d1 is possible, just to run with the king. But in case of queen d8.
Okay.
But I would like to have my queen to f3 quickly.
Yeah, I see. Okay, interesting. Let's. Should we move on to another game? Could we maybe just? Is there any of your plays you would like to follow, especially?
Yes, it's always interesting to scan to look around.
Yes.
I'm trying to follow everyone.
Do you want to, or should we take a look at the top board, because that is of course a special one? I take a look at this game. Kaan Kukushari against Francesco Sonis. I'm looking at that game right now. What about these players? Do you know anything about them?
I know Kaan a little bit. Obviously talented, and he seems to be improving fast too.
Yeah, the thing is that probably you know that I think it's such a strange situation right now because you have had players who have been. During the COVID and the pandemic, they have been training a lot, but they have not played so much. And suddenly now they come out and with very low rating and are much better than the rating they had,
Yes.
So it's a bit strange to judge them, on that. And Kaan, I think he has moved up 100 ELO points more or less in the last, half year or something like that, because he had 40 also in coefficient from ELO, So he played a lot. So it's 24.82 now. So that's really good.
Yeah, he's improving fast.
Yep.
And he will become good, I think.
Yeah, and he's training hard. That's always important. I'm thinking about that. So, what about Francesco Zonis? I don't know if you know anything about him, but I just I saw that he came number 4 in the Junior World Championship right now, and on the same point as the winner. So he's obviously one of the strongest in the world right now. So yeah,
and he's playing G6, one of the strongest in the world playing G6, because G6 is not such an obvious move.
Where is in the last move? In the last one.
The last move, he just played G6.
That was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yes. It wasn't the first move you would think of. might be necessary if white plays knight h4, but if it doesn't, it seems like c5 is very natural now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That was really strange, this move, wasn't it? G6. I mean, for me, knight to bd7 was a no-go in this position for me.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, I'm also not so strong, so.
Yeah, either knight d7 or knight c6, because you really want white to play d5.
And close the center. Okay.
And maybe the other knight actually to d7 a little bit later if necessary. But so I think or knight d7 simply.
Okay, so knight.
I thought white often played had the queen on d3 in these positions, and sometimes you simply played knight e1 and over to c2 with the knight.
I see.
Be
Okay.
ready to go further.
To go to
to do
d5, you
things.
mean? Or
Huh?
to go to d5?
Yeah,
Knight
or just hold the d4 square with the with the knight on c2.
Yep.
And then play solid, maybe f3, and another knight coming down to f1. Just doing things, holding was what I thought was the normal setup.
Okay.
But it's possible to hold here too, I guess.
But what about, you said c5. Should we analyze c5 in this position? What do
Yeah,
you think?
it's really worth looking at concrete things here because you're a little bit ahead in development, maybe just enough to go into an advantageous ending.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Maybe just take it. B takes.
You said b take, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you take on e5 and
Take on e5. Take back. Take on c5, huh?
Right. And then we have to think a little. Maybe just simply rook e8, and maybe it's not so dangerous for. But it looks dangerous. There are queen knight c4 things coming and so
Exactly.
on.
I think that was I thought, because if you open up this position, white is ahead in development, and you know, swapping off the e5 against the e4, that's dangerous for black, I believe, you know.
Yeah, it all depends on concrete lines there, because the bishop can go to h3, for instance,
Yeah.
even or just f1. You have to do something with that one.
Yeah.
And obviously, the obvious targets on both a5 and all the black squares are obvious targets for a knight on c coming to c4.
Yeah. Okay. So because if you play rook e8, I believe take you know, I don't know what to play here in this position for black. Is it because you can of course take on c5 with the queen, rook take, and knight bd7. It might
You could
be
do that.
But you said rook e8. That was more in line for you with the position.
Yeah, that was my. I just thought it was dangerous with a queen with a rook coming into c7, but maybe it's not that dangerous. Knight bd7, rook c7, bishop a6. But it looks much better for white, I think.
Let's take a look at that. So let's say g6. Wow. Okay. So sorry. So queen takes 7. You said swapping queens. Knight bd7, rook c7, and bishop to a6.
I think this must be better for white.
It must be. Also, I think so. I mean, even to play bishop f1, take back, and then take the other rook to c1. You know, that type of position.
Looks tremendous.
Must be a little bit better for white for sure.
Maybe a lot better.
Maybe, you know, bishop f, what we're speaking about is bishop f1, bishop take, king 1 take, and in this type of symmetrical position, white must have an edge, both due to the c file, and also knight c4 might come, you know, and there is a threat on e5 and a5. So yeah. But,
so I thought black's point was to hold it closed and try to have control on the black squares, and here just opposite happens.
Yep.
So the last move seems strange.
Yeah. So, and if you play c5, you cannot do anything else after c5. Take on d4, you take on d6, I guess.
Yeah.
So, no. So, yeah, well, this is...
That was strange.
Yeah, that was really
Seems
strange.
to be quite forced.
Yeah. Okay, b take, d take, e5, take, queen take on c5. You know, I don't know what to do. A rook e, because you're rook e8 instead of knight bd7. I mean, you swap queens maybe.
It is possible maybe to play queen e6, maybe not.
But knight c4 is strong in that position after take on e7, rook take e7, and knight to c4. I think that's must be.
Looks quite good. Knight. It's possible to take on e4 then, but knight bd7 too.
Knight bd7. I thought about knight d6 maybe. I don't know if that is strong.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I don't know. If he takes on e4, I think white's leading development will continue on into the ending.
Yeah, let's take a look. No. Knight c4, knight bd7, and then take on e4. Why is that not working? Okay, I don't know how to work G6.
Bishop takes E4.
No,
just
sorry,
did-
it is some problem with the just 2 seconds. Swapping queens on E7, rook take E7, knight C4, and knight take on E4. Yes, that was. I mean, knight
bishop.
take on E5 simply.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
he has to take with the bishop then on E4. But anyway, knight takes E5, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Must be a bit better for white in this position.
Or maybe a lot better.
Yeah, you even have knight B6 in that position.
Yeah.
Threatening the rook on A8, and then it's rook C8 check. Yeah, coming. Yeah, okay. So this is not
True.
good. Okay, so it seems like Khan has got the chance in this position to force things and have a slightly better game. I think, at least, you know.
Maybe we can have a look at my students. I see Gustav is playing an interesting game.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
Another
Gustav,
Ukrainian guy.
You said Gustav Turngren? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Galperin against Gustav. So do you want to? I now have the final position, or this position that we are at right now, or do you want to take it from the start a bit?
Wait, I don't think we can just go to the final position. Time is running fast.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting position at the board now, and I think Gustav is doing fine.
Okay, well, maybe Queen A4.
Well, I just saw Rook AC1. I don't know if that happened on your board.
Okay. Queen A3 instead, B6, and then Rook AC1. Okay.
Normally, it's quite nice to trade pieces in the bank structures.
Because this
black is quite happy actually.
Because this game has reached some kind of Benoni structure.
Benoni.
Yeah.
So just from that, I don't know. See what white's pieces are doing. Maybe it's planning B3 and knight C4 to take back with the pawn.
Yeah, the idea is maybe to play B3, knight to C4, and take on C4, B takes C4, and then you have.
Or maybe more likely B4.
Yeah.
Because
so in this position, B4. That's.
Yeah, maybe B4. For instance, A6. With the idea just to retreat to B7 and play B5 looks quite natural.
So you mean B4 and knight B7 immediately?
Yeah, maybe that's.
And
it makes sense to put a knight on C4. He has to put a knight on C4. White has to put a knight on C4. What else can you do? So somehow get a knight there. Maybe B4 first, followed with the knight to save C4 if black takes.
On B4?
Yeah, then the knight might be a bit stupid on A5 actually. I'm not sure.
So take on knight C4, take on B4, queen on B4, knight C5.
What are we suggesting after rook AC1?
Rook AC1, you said A6.
But I'm not sure I like A6 because what happens on B4 then?
No, then that was the knight B7. And then you take on. I thought the idea was knight B7, take on B4, and then put the knight on C5. But
but after I'm not sure if it works because after knight B7, knight C4, some tricks there.
Knight C4, take on B4.
Queen takes B4,
and then play knight C5.
I was just wondering if we could just play E5 there.
That might. You have knight D3 maybe.
Yeah.
Threatening everything.
Yeah, maybe that's interesting line. Because if you take on B6, then there is a pin. Maybe you can also play. Yeah, that's a tricky position.
Yeah, this is really
because
interesting game.
It might hang on E4 some.
But do you think there were any better moves than A6?
A6 with the idea knight B7 followed by B5 looks like one idea. The other is maybe simply queen D8 to also play B5.
Okay, the idea, you know.
But I'm not sure what happens after bishop. Well, maybe bishop f4 doesn't work because of queen f6.
Okay.
But it's potential everywhere here. You can maybe play on f5 and maybe even g5. But then, so queen d5, queen d8 is kind of a multi-purpose move.
Yep.
Getting out of the e line, preparing things here and there.
So to summarize, you feel that he has got quite an okay position in this game, Gustav?
It's certainly an interesting position.
Yeah, interesting, I'm for sure. But is it good, or what is your judgment?
I'm normally on the white side of Benoni structure, so
I think you and I have probably played about 100 Benoni games, you know, in Blitz or something like that in the old days. So
yeah, I just found of the center, but normally you struggle with tricks. Black side is in the Benoni is very often based on tricks.
Yep.
But here it's a little bit different because here it's perhaps possible to play positional. Just say that you have a pawn majority on the queen side, and it really becomes interesting if black is happy with taking back with a d pawn on c5. Then there will be pawns running everywhere.
Yeah.
But somehow try to play b5. The more I look at it, the more I like black, I think. But what happens after queen d8, b4? Because you don't really want to take it, do you? So because queen then d8, queen d4 is coming soon and weak square on c6.
And if you take on b4 and play knight c5?
Yeah, they might have to play queen b1 just to protect a little bit.
But on the other hand, the knight on a5 then is actually in conflict with the knight on c5. You know, they are not. It doesn't. You know, in a way, you want to have the one on a5 on c5 instead of the knight on.
He plays bishop knight e5 principled. That was kind of the first move I thought of, I must say. So it is not unprincipled at all. Trading pieces makes sense because then the pawn majority will count more.
Yeah, knight e5.
I think, and it's less stressful with white having the center because black is less cramped. Just a few trades makes it so much simpler for black.
Yeah, there is this old say that in this Benoni structure, you know, the key is for black to trade one set of pieces, and for white, of course, if you can keep all the pieces on board, normally black will get a bit cramped. Here you already have get rid of the bishop on c8 on the white squares, and now by trading one more, this long diagonal from g7 down to b2 might make, you know, black okay. So
yeah, I'm just wondering what happens if it just takes and play b3, because then knight c4 is coming. It's become a little bit concrete.
Yes.
I don't think black should have anything to worry about. He certainly should have come to play somewhere.
I would say rook fe8 or something like that. It's a normal move. Huh?
Yeah, maybe even the other rook if he wants to play f5.
Which one?
If he wants to play f5.
I just was a little bit afraid to make rook ae8 because the pawn on a7 you cannot move the line. But maybe I don't know.
But just some rook to e8 and maybe rook e7 and then you can look in all directions. But especially if you manage to prevent, if you manage to have enough pressure on e4 to prevent knight c4. I guess white has to take and play f3. Well, first b3 and then the next move maybe f3. But then the question is perhaps black can play f5 then.
Yeah. No, this is of course if you play rook ae8 that I have on my board, then the logical follow-up is f5, of course. You know, otherwise it would be strange to put the a8 rook on e8. So that's.
It's not really a crisis. If he wants to play solid, he can just also play g5 and just stay there and be solid.
Yeah, but then you have knight f1, knight f1, knight g3, and come.
Yeah,
that's always
I'm not sure if you can.
I'm not
because
sure.
the pawn majority, maybe he has to do something. I'm not sure. If of course you cannot allow a knight to f5, that would be
Yeah,
disastrous, of course.
yeah. I mean,
But
g5, knight f1, isn't that dangerous or what?
well, there is always. I don't not quite sure if you have the same position on the board, but f5 is in the air. Is in the air.
Yeah, okay.
If it goes away from, well, if black slows down, white slows down, f5 comes quickly, I think.
Okay, very good. So, this
Maybe
will...
have a look at Mituso too.
Yes, please. Let's do that. Your other student, that is...
I also follow my previous students to Fredrik Aasen and Sondre Melo, but
yeah,
I kind of, it's good for me to be a little bit prepared, because when I see them in a few days, it's
of
kind
course.
of
Yeah. We
looks good.
combine this support you give to us with commenting with your own needs, of course, Simen. So that's
I
great.
kind of prepare. I see he plays e3 in the opening, Mituso. Do you see that?
This was a strange opening. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, knight c6, a3.
Well, another sign of talent, I would say. He's capable of playing everything, and he just wants the position.
But this is not an opening you
solid.
prepared with your students, I guess.
Absolutely not. I would certainly not recommend a3 to anyone.
Okay, thank you.
I would prefer center and development.
Yes, great.
Don't really see what's the point with a3, but okay.
d5 came.
Is this a Scottish with reversed, or what
Yes,
it's called?
something like that. Yeah. Bishop
But,
d5 came.
Is that possible in the Scottish? With the
This
normal
is so
Scottish,
strange.
don't really see the point of having a pawn on a3 here.
Bishop b5 came. Knight take on e4. And then queen e2. It's really, really strange play now from my point.
I agree totally. I don't think it's very clever, but he just wants a position and a long game. That's typical of Simen.
Okay, so he I think I like the way black plays in this game so far.
I agree totally. I think
queen
black
d6
should be
looks like a good move to me. Giving back the pawn, but if white takes the pawn, and he did, take on e4, d take, queen take, then bishop d7. I like that. The idea is to make long castle and go for f5, e4.
Absolutely. I can't imagine anything else than black being very good here.
Must be even. I think that black is slightly, at least slightly better in this position. I believe.
Yeah.
But okay, castling.
But generally
castle.
speaking, kings are castled each different ways. An attack is coming. It will be an exciting game. Someone will attack.
Okay, d3 came, and now a black played f6, and that surprised. I would go for f5 in this position, but well, that's the normal move for me to play f5 in this position. But he played f6 instead. Yeah, okay, but f5 to win a tempo, and then try to bring out. Maybe even follow up with g5.
Maybe f5 weakens d5 pawn. Maybe just queen e3 or queen somewhere and bishop coming to c3 soon.
Yeah, you can see that. Okay.
But absolutely a natural move f5 and maybe followed by knight d4.
On rook e8 or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what happened was the f6, and of course now you're ready to go for g5. So and you get a protected pawn on e5. So it's not a bad move, f6. I think it's just like f5 was the normal move from my point of view. So okay, bishop d2 came, and this is also a sign that this is probably not the best square for the bishop to go to d2 normally. You want probably to play bishop e3 or something like that to put more pressure on black. But okay, king b8 came, bishop c3, that was his idea. That was all. Yeah, okay. A little bit strange to put the bishop on c3. This maneuver, bishop d2, bishop c3, I believe.
Yeah.
It looks a bit strange to me.
Yes.
So g5, knight d2, and now, interesting, bishop g7.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he wants to play f5. as you suggested.
Sorry, what did you say?
I think he wants to play f5.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But the thing is that now, you know, the question is, okay, should we go for h5 instead now? Because that, you know, it's like, why didn't you
Might be
play?
possible, but doesn't matter. It makes sense kind of to finish the development.
Yeah, okay, bishop g7, okay. And now, I guess knight c4 or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of makes sense if you can go return to e3, but I wonder what
e7.
happens on queen c5.
Okay, queen. Do you think queen c5 might be better? Okay.
But it becomes interesting because then you have a4 and perhaps b4 next, and tricks.
Yeah, queen c5 looks. Yeah, I don't really like that move. I
No,
prefer
but then
queen
knight
e7
c4
or something like that. But
maybe has to go to e6 then.
why not queen e7? What was the
Maybe
drawback?
queen e7 too. I was just wondering if you could play knight e3 and kind of try to prevent f5.
I see. Okay, so queen e6 is smart because then you're forced to go for f5.
Yeah. I think White's plan is to be prophylactic somehow. But knight c4 makes sense because after queen e6, maybe simply rook bishop a4 or something, and followed by b4 or maybe bishop e3. And if he plays e5, f5 just return.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe it's not so bad for.
So what did you say?
White.
After bishop g7, what is the move you want to play then?
Knight c4 I want to play.
Knight to c4. I go with your queen e6. I like that. I will
and
want to push.
And then bishop a4.
Bishop a4. I go with f5.
And then return with the queen somewhere. Maybe if I want to keep on being provocative, I could go to e3.
Maybe e2 even, you know. Okay, let's see. Do you have
maybe e2 even?
Queen. I just want to check this bishop to a4.
But queen e3 is quite cool because a little bit more provocative.
Yeah, well, okay.
And then b4, bishop b3, lots of things coming. There is potential in the white attack.
There is one thing I've been thinking of is that, you know, because you have played white has played the bishop to c3, maybe you should not go for f5. You know, that's why I wanted to play h5 earlier on, because with f5 suddenly the bishop is good on c3, hitting on e5.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe h5, you know, just the classical push of the pawns, you know.
But white will probably play the same, bishop c4 and b4 and so on.
Okay. But the thing is b4, b5. Maybe black can, you know, just remove the knight to play knight d4 even. So
he plays simply rook f1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. So your judgment is that it's an interesting position, and your feeling is that is white okay? You think, or are you worried about the position?
This is the kind of position where the best player often wins. So, but I've seen Simen having sometimes he's having horrible positions, but somehow he's managed to win some of those horrible positions. So he's capable of getting quite bad positions, to put it that way.
Okay, he's got this special talent.
But still fighting on, just holding.
Yep. So he's a fighter. Okay, so he played rook fe1, that instead of knight c4 that we were looking at. And then black needs to make a choice, and then obviously now this is.
I think rook in1 makes kind of sense because the rook should be there. It's not obvious that the knight should be on c4. Correct. Because there are alternatives.
I agree. And also now, you know, f5 is not so attractive when the rook is on e1. You know, the bishop on c3.
Less attractive. Suddenly, the knight might, for instance, after queen e3, there might end up a knight on e4 and c5, and you just keep your hands a little bit more closed, or you don't show your plans that much. With rook e1.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
More flexible. So I kind of like White's position with a solid pawn structure, and b4 seems to be coming at some moment.
But
and
the
move the bishop.
interesting thing here is that neither h5, g4, h4 and this classical idea or b4, it takes some time before you actually, start to threaten something here.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit special, I believe, because the bishop on c3, the bishop on g7 is, they are not placed in the normal positions, and so a bit strange in that sense.
But the b4, you have to move the bishop on b5 somewhere, and then maybe the knight can go also to b3 is a potential square. So I see lots of white ideas.
Okay.
It's possible to play h5 and g4 and h4 and so on, but still
take some time.
Yeah, and not so many pieces backing the attack there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That's an interesting position.
Yep, it is. It will be
What
interesting
about
following this game as well. Which game would you like to take a look at?
Just having a quick look. Seems like Tor Fredrik is playing a quite boring position.
But I guess he's better in the position.
Is he much better because of leading development into the ending?
Yeah. He must. I think he's even winning in this position, actually.
Is it that much?
Yeah, I believe so, because the bishop on c8 is horrible, and it's very hard to see how to come. I don't know if you can play even knight g5 or something like that, or knight d4,
Is it
knight
that
g5.
much?
I mean, this looks good, for really good.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just tremendous already.
Yeah, c5, bishop on b3 ready. A knight g5 must be very strong here, because if you play knight d6 or something like that, or knight d5 maybe he wants to play, but then you have rook d5. But my idea was, of course, to play c5 and then be ready with bishop b3.
Makes sense.
And then the bishop is stuck on c8, bishop b3 will come, and there will be tactics against the black king, and you have the d5. This is winning. I'm sure it's winning already, so. Okay, he has a good game.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Then,
so, do you
if
want
I can have a look at, I'm actually following you, Edwin Trust a little bit, because I hope to see him at my school next year.
Yes,
and
okay.
Is he the biggest Swedish talent at that age group?
You should know, for you that is viewing this, that Simen and I, we have had cooperation for several years, where we were running Team Sweden, and that was for the youngsters, and we had some kind of Team Norway with Simen. And what we try to do is to go every year to NTG to make matches and training together with the Norwegians and the Swedish. And I know that the idea from Simen, because Simen, he's a clever guy, he knows that he wants to show how good it is at NTG, and of course to persuade them to start to play. And of course I was very happy to see that happening as well, but I just say that was something we did as a cooperation. So okay, yes, Edwin.
I'm certainly interested in Swedish talent, Danish, and it doesn't matter. They can come from any Nordic countries. I think it's the same education system. So
yeah, it's good. No. I think one of the very good things for all of those who have been to you, like Milton now, and you have had Isak Storme has also been there lately. I know. If I understand things right, there is no problem for them for using your school system and the subjects that they have and so on. And when they want to go to university, we have a comparable...
They can come into any university in the world. Doesn't matter if you come for Sweden or Denmark or whatever.
Exactly. So that's good.
Afterwards.
Yes. So okay. So what do you say about this position? I have the final position, or the position on the board.
It's a solid pawn up. Not necessarily easy to win, but should be winning.
Yeah, actually, if you look at, this is Emil Remegård, he's got 1533. So, and of course, he was one of those that had to come into the tournament at the at the last stage, a little bit. But and even though he's just got 1533, I know that he's much better than that, because he actually was a great talent. Some 6, 7, 8 years ago, when he won the Swedish championship, even I think school championship and so on. But he stopped playing, and now he's back again. He's a trainer. He's been to this FIDE training course I had 2 weeks ago, and you know, clever guy. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
I must admit that I'm also following another young guy from Sweden,
Mm-hmm.
um, Victor Liljehook.
Of course, and you can tell me why you do that. Follow him so
He's
closely.
half Norwegian.
Yes.
He's a member of our club actually,
Yeah, I know. And
which
you have had him given him some training, a little bit of training and so on, I guess, or
yeah,
at least analyzed with him a little bit, I guess. Huh?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so do I. I have also had some training sessions with him, so on. So you and I have discussed him, and he actually won the last round. That was great. So now he's playing a little bit higher up, challenging some good players. We can take a look if you like, or do you want to continue with this game?
Yeah. We can have a look at the final position, perhaps. I just saw. I'm wondering if did something risky in the game against Rusty, the one he plays now, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is Arvin Rusty against Victor Liljehook. Can you just, before we continue, could you tell me a little bit what are your thoughts about Victor?
Very clever guy.
Yeah.
I shouldn't talk so much about my students in general, but clever, great talent, fantastic person.
Okay.
Already at the age of 9 or something.
Yeah. Why do you say you shouldn't talk too much about them? Why? What is
Because
the
it's
problem?
students should shine,
Okay.
not me. No, I shouldn't shine
No,
when the students do well.
no. But I mean, it depends on what you say, Simen, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you say that they are great persons and so on, that's great.
Yeah.
But here
I'm not sure
he's in real trouble here, I guess, huh?
He forgot about the development for
Yep.
some reason. He should just finish the development and then do things.
Yep. Because here you have the king is stuck in the center because the rook has moved to g8. I don't know what happened.
It was stupid forgetting about the development, and it's getting punished.
Okay, we have this type. That is a bit strange. You see here we have a position where it's totally, you know, locked in the center. We can I'm on queen take d7, the move 6. I just move on a little bit. This should be now I'm on to d. Okay, so he managed to somehow white to lock up this position with b4 and so on.
He wasted time. He should just finish the development, castle, and then start thinking.
Yeah, I agree. So, yes, now here, yeah, well, he came into trouble. That was a really strange move. For me, knight c8, 14 knight c8 was a strange move to me. That looks really strange, you know.
Yeah, it's a bit worried about knight f6 check, but no, then it's kind of a little bit late.
But that I think is okay, you know. If you make a castling here, knight f6, bishop take, queen e6.
Yeah, maybe you actually wins the pawn on c4.
Well, maybe even that. Well, they can take on e7, of course, but then it's no problem.
Yeah, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe you can just do that.
I mean, for me, castling is the normal, for sure, the normal move.
Yeah, I agree. It's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, maybe it did something stupid there.
I think that was one that I just feel must have been a mistake. Knight to c8, you know. We probably got afraid. And then queen d2 came, and now he didn't want to castle again. He's afraid of this knight f6, obviously. Knight b6. Now it came. Bishop take f6, and rook g8. And this is actually worse, because now the king is stuck in the center with the bishop on f6.
But then he did something stupid there. It doesn't matter. Next game, new chances. You shouldn't worry, think too much about it.
And also, and of course, I think one very important thing for Victor is that he can play this tournament for so many years. You know, you're up to 20. And this is the first time he really get the chance to challenge these some of the best juniors in Europe, getting experiences and so on. So of course he's here to learn, basically, you know.
Yeah. See, Ludwig has played a quick draw at perpetual in a very strange way.
Let's see, where do we have this? Ludwig game. There you have a position against Victor Muntian. This is a bit strange as well, you know, that he's playing a draw 1968. Victor is really playing, you know, he won a really, really good game in the first game, Victor, against this 2471 IM. Though he's obviously much stronger than his rating. But
yeah.
Let's see what happened in the end. Is this some kind of theoretical line, or I don't know?
I can't imagine it is.
No, it looks so strange, this opening as well.
I think it's just typical Ludwig happy goes. Is it called happy goes lucky? He just played G5 and let's here we go.
And then he just took on G5. Okay, bishop take G5, knight take G5.
If I see this correctly, he spends 49 seconds on playing G5. I'm sure this cannot be theory. It's
No,
just
it cannot.
Let's go.
And H6.
I would never dare to play these things, and certainly not that quickly.
Okay, threatening to take them. Okay. And now there was a... Okay, so he had to play knight to E7. And then there was this perpetual idea with knight F7 and so on, back and forth. Okay.
But to me, it looks like a very complicated game that Ludwig plays incredibly fast, which is kind of typical.
Yeah, actually, I spoke to him about that actually before the first round when I was checking out how is it going, what is happening, and he said that I have problems with I'm moving too fast, and I said, well, why do you, you know?
Because he's very optimistic. He thinks everything goes fine.
Yeah, but this is a bit naive, you know. Not the least, if you have time, you should just stop yourself from playing fast, you know.
I don't know what's happening with him, and he plays this crucial game, this complicated game, this fast.
Yeah.
I can hardly imagine that this is preparation. But didn't also Victor play quite fast?
Yeah.
So,
that's correct, yeah.
And
that, well, I must say, it's quite cool to have someone 1968 going for this way of, trying to go for sacrifices against much stronger players. I like that attitude, you know, because this is the way to learn, you know. Many of the players with a little bit lower rating, they try to be plays, you know, safe and not lose fast and so on. But he's just going on, you know, very hard. This I like.
That's okay, no? Interesting. I read a book, Agatha Christie crime many years ago, and I think was Miss Marple. She was judging by the way they played bridge who was the murderer. It said something about their personality.
Well,
the way they played blitz.
So do you believe that you can see the personality of Victor and Ludwig in this game?
I'm not sure because, but it has to be combined with others. It's not possible to see, but just by the they're playing. But if you know them in advance and then you see the games and think, yeah, this makes sense, kind of. This is him.
Okay.
But I can see it is on Elham.
Should we go back to the Elham game and look at that?
Yeah. Okay. He played bishop c2. No, he played h3. He didn't go for queen
bishop
c2.
take on f6, g take f6. Then he played h3.
That was a bit surprising, wasn't it?
For me, it was.
But now the line works a little bit differently. But black gets the bishop to g6, which is quite nice.
Yeah, he played bishop h5. Queen c2. Because now on knight to b4, you can take on h7 and play queen f5. That's the idea.
Yeah, or bishop f5.
But then, of course, bishop g6, and now he played a3. I must say, I like this. In a way, I mean, from White's point of view, I can understand. If you don't take on f3, then I understand this.
I think White's position is very good, I must say.
Yeah, but what happened there? Why didn't he take on f3 and go for take on b3? Isn't that okay?
Good question. Very good question.
Or just for me.
I think he should have done that.
Yeah.
because the position we have on the board now looks much better for white, I think.
Bishop g6, a3. Now, I think black is in trouble because the knight now on a6 need to go to c7, and it's, you know, the queen on b6 just look a bit awkward for me, you know.
Yeah, I think he has to play. Well, he has to get. You cannot just let white play f4 and move the knight, and then and then you have at some moment you have to take on
Yeah.
on
Knight
d3.
h4 came, knight e6, knight f5 looks good as well. Bishop f8.
Rook b1. It's a bit
A,
slow.
b1, yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe the queen somewhere, and followed by queen c7. Well,
But this must be a very good position for white.
I agree totally.
This is
But
looks really, really
I think it's
strange.
kind of crucial if black gets a few moves here.
What does black want to do, please?
I think he wants to play c5, but I don't think he will be allowed to do that.
Nope. I think that white will play b4.
Yeah, for instance, after queen d8, he might threaten c5 and take with the knight. But then perhaps.
But don't you think b4 will come? Do you want to play a5 then, or what?
But black has his play. He might play a5 and some pressure. He might also play queen d7 followed by knight g7 just to get that knight away, which makes quite a bit of sense actually. And maybe even b6 and c5 is possible. Or a5 as Ellen plays.
Okay, let's take a look at this position.
a5?
Okay, so after queen d8.
Well, he played a5, which makes no sense when you see it. So I support a5, I think.
So maybe b4 is not a good move because then you get some counterplay with a5. So instead, what can white do instead of b4? Do you really expect him to play?
But he did play a5 after rook a b1.
Is that played already? Okay,
yeah.
He played i5 here. Okay, I see.
So when you look at it, black has some potential here. I think putting a queen on. I'm not absolutely sure that a5 is so good because knight a4 is in the air, and then suddenly it's not so. There's a weakness on b6.
Should white try to go for something like, you know, knight e2?
You could have fantastic control over the f5 square, but black can just ignore that for a long time, I think.
No, my idea was to play knight e2, knight g3, h4, h5.
He plays knight e2. Followed by what?
Knight e2, knight e g3, and h4, h5.
Good idea. Sounds looks very good. But is c5 possible now?
No. I think it's now after knight. So I play knight e2.
He did.
No. I just say that. What will happen then? C5. You said. Okay. So you really want to play that? Okay, d10,
this is not about pawn structures because the black pawn structure is horrible.
It's already so bad.
Okay, but about his activity.
I guess you take with the knight, huh?
Oh yes, take the knight. It doesn't look that bad for black.
But okay, knight e d4. How is that position? You take on d3 and play bishop
not
c5.
necessarily. I might just stay there and play rook c8 or something. Or a4, but then I'm not sure. You have a point. But if I just take on d3 then, and followed by rook c8.
Knight to take on d3. Okay, let's go.
If I can take the bishop on d3, have the bishop pair.
Here, and knight e d4, take on d3, queen take d3. Okay, so then you can say that the black structure is totally damaged. But on the other hand, he's got a pair of bishops.
Yeah,
and
he has ideas like bishop. He can take the c line.
I agree, and you know, it's quite interesting because sometimes in this type of position, you know, it seems like, you know, white is very good and so on, but how to make progress?
Yeah.
You know, because the knight on f5 is stuck. The bishop with a rook on c8, bishop c5. It's hard to see what white can do in a way. Yeah,
especially if black just can double on the c line and maybe even support the rook with If you put it on c4 or c5 and or something.
Okay, so I believe that knight e2 was played.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure if it was the most. It
No.
wasn't necessarily obvious.
No, because also after c5, you know, if you keep the knight on c3, you can always on c5 play knight a4 and take on c5 as well.
Yeah, I don't think knight e2 looked that natural actually.
No.
I was wondering about things like g4 and followed by h5, h4, maybe h4 right away, followed by knight g3 or something. So I thought the knight was okay on c3.
Yeah, actually, one idea is of course to play h4 and then go back with the knight on f5 to g3 and play h5.
Exactly. I think that looks more natural.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure if it. Yeah, because sometimes you play f4 as well. You don't necessarily. It's not only h5. It's also f4 and f5 in the air.
Oh yeah, I still you know, somehow I feel that white should have a possibility to get an edge. You know, if you just can, you know, swap up the bishops on d3 against the one on g6, but without making it possible for black to get h take g6. You know, just to keep the structure, white will be very, very good. You know.
Yeah.
So that's
But
why
the more I look at it, the less I like knight e2 actually.
Yes, I agree. I think this is must be the wrong idea because, yeah, knight e2. So let's take a look now. What do you think that it will be? c5, you said, huh?
Yeah, I'm not absolutely sure because I never am. But c5 and take with the knight is the first thing I think of here.
Yeah, and if you do
But
not,
it is possible to consider playing rook c8 first and to take with a rook. So you might have white has a little bit of time, or sorry, black has some time before it becomes critical. It becomes critical when.
I thought about, after c5, can you play like queen d1?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just to avoid take, you know.
Yeah.
Because then you have
that makes sense.
Then you have this idea again to go for, you know, the push on a4, h4 and so on that I want to play.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just wondering. Yeah, queen d1 makes sense.
Yeah.
But not still if we just play rook c8 or something, or maybe rook d8.
a8.
Or d8, I'm not sure. Maybe d8.
Do you think it should be on d8 instead?
I'm not sure, but I'm keeping some pressure on d4, so kind of avoiding preventing knight g3 perhaps.
So you say what do you prefer, rook a8 or d8?
Maybe I prefer rook a d8.
Okay, yeah.
But far from sure.
No, I see. Okay, and then we have a position where the question is h4. That is my move.
Yeah. At some moment I might h4 makes sense. And I was wondering what happens after bishop g7? Sorry, there is knight h6 check, so you have to be a little bit careful.
Of course, yeah. This is knight to g7, check on h6 and take on g6, and then knight f7 is winning immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, because my idea here is also maybe you are even threatening to play g4. Is that possible?
Yeah, g4 is in the air, but not absolutely critical because if you manage to play h4 and h5, it's not that horrible to take on f5.
No, I agree.
It's not like black is losing or something.
No.
But it just looks a bit ugly positionally.
Yeah. Do you think it's better to go like this with the knight to g3? Is that better choice than?
No, I'm not sure. But what you suggested after c5, rook queen d1 made a lot of sense.
Rook a8 and yeah, it's okay.
I'm not sure what the rook is doing there actually. So maybe I'm not. But it's hard to find a good plan for black. Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, I cannot say really how, because there is no. I also have to see. I mean, if we take this position after knight e2, c5, and if you play queen d1, the question is, should you play c4 with black?
I'm not sure I'm so happy with the pawn on a5 then.
No, because my idea was to play c4 and then move away the queen and b5 to start an attack.
That would be nice, but white can just play a4.
Okay.
And I regret having that pawn on a5.
Okay, I see. So that is the problem.
But maybe after queen d1, maybe something like I don't know, queen c7 or something. Queen somewhere to threaten to play c4 followed by b5.
So what did you say? Where did you want to put your queen? c7.
It's not ideal to have it on c7, but just put it there.
Okay. Because now you're ready to play c4 and b5, huh?
That was what I wanted. Then it might be something, but still, I'm not sure if it works because black, that must be black's idea, but he needs to prepare it properly somehow. Or chasing that knight on f5, avoid knight g7, being careful about the tactics then, of course.
I think this will be an interesting struggle now after knight to e2.
I think I have to go, actually.
Yes, of course.
Waiting, but I will know you look at games quite differently when you commentate them, actually.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to follow the games when they are played. Good exercise.
Yeah. For us old guys, it's good to be in line with what they do in reality, of course.
Yeah.
So I must say thank you so much, Simen, for taking the time to join in, and it was so interesting to hear you. Also how you think chess, and not the least what you do for all your great the talents that you have been supporting through the years. It's been amazing, I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Simen. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
So let's see if I can find this screen instead, and I will try to find also, see if I can get this a little bit better so you can see the screen. Let's see, I try to do it in a good way, like this. We do it like that, and I do it like that. So now I think we have the correct one. I hope you can see. Now I hope you can see this. So like that. Okay, we do it like that. Okay. So 2 seconds. One more time. I try to solve this so it becomes a little bit better for you guys. That. A little bit bigger. Oh, sorry. Here we are. Okay, there we are. I'm happy with that. No, not really happy. We do it like that instead. Okay, there we are. No, well, okay, let's be like that. Okay, so now Simen has left and I'm on my own, hoping for some visitors of the players that we are having out there. But let's go to the different games, of course, and see if there is anything interesting. This is one of the games we will follow to the very end, I'm sure. This is the game between Hampus Sørensen and Elam Abrulf. So let's go to see the game. Okay, let's go back and see what is happening on the other boards. We had this Khan's position. What has happened here? Because suddenly I can just see that black has got some... He didn't play c5. Do you remember? He had a great chance here. it seemed like to, after g6, that was a very strange move, and that c5 seemed very strong, and I think that white would have been better in that position, but he chose b3, rook c8 came, okay, queen b2, just try to play slowly, positionally, like bd7, normal, and he doesn't want to push d5 because then the knight will have a great square on c5. That's what black is looking for. h3, a4. Okay, this is an interesting moment because what white has been doing in the last moves is just to wait, you know, just to try to you know, keep the position, keep the tension and so on, and let black do something. So h3 again, a way of, you know, just taking squares. The drawback with this is that sometimes you want to play bishop h3. That is the drawback, to play the pawn to h3. I'm not sure I like this really, but okay. And now this is very committing to play a4, because now you will have a potentially bad pawn on b4. On the other hand, you will have some counterplay on the a file. And this is something you need to be judging when you see this. But in a way, I like this move because black now will get some initiative on the queen side. Rook e3 came, rook a5 looks normal, you know, protecting, being ready, take on b3, rook a8, and so on. And white doesn't want to take on a4 because after rook to a4, you have this weak pawn on a2. Rook d1, take b3, okay, and now what you should do, what should you do? I mean, if you take on b3 like this, maybe black can even take here, and then you know, you sacrifice like this, and you have this interesting position. I don't know what this is like, but okay, could be a possibility. So instead, a take b3, a take b3 came, and rook c8, because now there is, you know, the rook ready to go to a2 and so on. So now I really believe that white need to find a way to continue here. What should white do? Again, we have this weak pawn on b4. This will be a key question because, okay, let's say that you, I don't know what you should do, but I believe what you should try to, you know, to come with a queen to d2 or knight to e1. If you play, or let's say you play d5 here. Is that possible, really? And my idea was to go knight to e1, d3, but no, I don't like this. Okay. So the question is how to proceed here with that. Actually, I think we're facing some problems here. I should keep queen. Should we move the queen somewhere? b1, c1, I don't know. Should b1 maybe? But now it feels like there is no way to remove from the b4. In that case, you need to play c2, and the benefit and the way to do it. So play b5, play b5, knight to c5, knight to e1, without c2, and simply grab the pawn on. Okay, let's do something like this. What we want to do is to go with a pawn to c2. How can you protect this pawn, baby? What should you do? What you should do here? Maybe there is this possibility to go for this. But of course, you know, like I said before, this is what black have been wishing for the whole game, to gain this square on c5. So I would be a bit worried about this, you know, even though if you calculate well, maybe you find out that you can play knight c2 and take on b4, because this knight is also, you know, b5 is not very attractive to play like b5, you take back, or even bishop on f1. Suddenly you get a nice square of c4 for the knight. So okay, I think this is a very crucial moment in the game actually, because now the question is if black will take over the game with this doubling rooks on the a file, and the question is if he dares to play d5 and go for the b4 pawn, Yeah. But I think that if you play something else, you know, black might be in the driver's seat, so I would watch out. Okay, so let's go to another game. Let's see what we have. He played d5. That's interesting. Now we will see how will black cope with the idea of knight e1, knight c2, and going for the b4 pawn. That will be interesting to see. Okay, we just need to look at this game, because now it feels like knight e2, he played rook a c8, queen d1 came immediately. Interesting. That is some of the moves we have been looking for. But now instead of playing c5, he played queen d8, knight to g3, and now for sure this h4, h5 is about to come. Now the question is, c5 now doesn't, somehow the queen on d8 has not made this better. So, okay, let's, here, I mean, maybe you're even able to play bishop b5, you know, then it's a disaster because the rook cannot get away from, you know, can be taken on. So this somehow Abdul does not want to play for c5 in the position, which was the moves that me and Simen was focusing on. I don't say, of course, I don't say that this was the only way to go for this was the best one, but here you can see that it's hard to see. If you do not play c5 with black, what would you do then? Because white has got now, he is preparing for this very simple idea, h4, h5. And if you play this, and the bishop must take on f5, for sure white will have a very, very strong position. So I'm getting a bit worried for Elam. Maybe, is it bishop? No, I don't know. Bishop d6 maybe to try to swap it off. Is that possible? Is that what you should do? But again, of course you can give a check on h6 like this, maybe, I don't know. Because now you cannot play king h8, maybe king, no, next knight. King f8 maybe. What about this? What is this like? Knight g f5, maybe like this. And then h4, h5 again, forcing this swap. Okay, black maybe knight g7, try to avoid it. h4, take, now h5 is coming, maybe it's this, I guess, huh? Like that. And if you have to take here, you have a problem. Maybe you have to go for this one, but now it's dangerous. This is a bit dangerous. Yeah, I mean, white has got an edge in this position. It's hard to say how big this edge is, but no doubt I would not like to play this position with black, you know. So, okay, we'll see, but we have seen that before. Elam is ready for a hard fight. You know, he's a fighter. So even though he will get a worse position, he will just continue to play, and try to do something. So yes. Okay, I think it's time for a small break. I will come back in a couple of minutes and see. So we are back after a little break, and let's see what has happened during this. We had this quite interesting position. If you remember, it was, I think it was in this position d5. That was a crucial move that we discussed just before the break. And the reason for that is that now that when black is ready to go in with the rooks on a2 and so on, white will have the very simple plan to play knight to e1, c2 and go for the b4 pawn, you know. And it's, you know, probably black has to do something radical, because I cannot really see how to, you know, force yourself into the position on the queen's side. So he played knight to c5, knight to e1, ready to go to c2. Okay, bishop c8, you know, that is of course normal. When d5 is played, there is no reason keeping the bishop on b7, and now the bishop is ready, you know, on the long diagonal, or maybe go to d7 and so on. So it's logical. And then knight c2, and now black had to play knight to a6, and that is of course a kind of move you do not want to play, because now it's you know, you cannot make use of your double rooks on the a file. This rook looks a bit strange on a5. When I saw this position, I thought that one normal idea for white is to try to go with a knight to d3, put you know, even more pressure on the c5 pawn. Then you would like to play knight f3, e1, d3 to, you know, keep an eye on this one. The question is what would happen on that one. But another possibility is, of course, just to push with f4 in this position. I think both, for me, with this knight on a6, it seems like it's white has got some potential here, because now these pieces here are stuck on the queen's side, while white's could be also ready to go against the black king. So, okay, let's see what happened. f4 came. Okay, he played f4. That's good. Then the question is how black should react to this. Okay, knight h5 is normal, because you put some pressure on this, and there need to be a declaration from white side. What is happening in this position is that I'm not sure that you really want to take on e5. Because what is happening here is that suddenly, I mean, even in this position is interesting, because, okay, you have, like, you know, this pawn here, but on the other hand, suddenly there are black squares, or you can, of course, you know, yeah. So it's not, I'm not convinced that this is the right way to play. Instead, you want them black to force black to play, to take on f4, if that is possible. Let's see what happened. So I just push forward d5, knight e2, bishop c8, knight c2, a6, f4, h5. It took on e5. Okay, in detail. So it became this position anyway. And now the question is how to proceed here with white. I can see that there are some potential threats, you know, maybe go up with the queen, you know. And of course, now you want to have your knight on a better square, but it's not possible. Okay, the queen is, you know, now capable of protecting the b4 pawn. You have the possibility to play knight e1, d3. That is what I thought about in this position. If you could do something else, maybe rook f1 is one logical move for me, just to try to. Yeah, I like this rook f1. That looks normal to me, to put pressure in that way. But okay, f take e5, d take e. No, this is the position. He took on e5. So the question is, will it take with a queen, or will it take with a pawn? This is what we need to find out soon. Yeah, I'm not sure about this position. One thing is, of course, if you play this move, do you really have to swap queens? Because somehow now you want to play, you know, knight d4 and then follow up with knight f3 and so on, to make use of this long diagonal that you have here. But problem is that it's hanging on g3, so maybe the queen take e5, you need to take on e5. And the question is, what is this like, this position here? I would go for this move. Yep. Try to be ready for knight to d3, and but then knight c5. No, that's not a... Okay, I need to find another move here. Yeah, knight f3, logical. f6. And maybe this one. And you're ready to go to d3. Probably rook a2. You cannot play knight d3. Now, what about this position? What is this like? Now you are ready to play knight d3 and take on b4. And is there any way you can protect that? Can you play this move? Is this possible? Or rook a1? This is so strange position. Rook b8 and rook a4. What about this position? Yeah, I mean, white is, it feels like black has something to prove here. Where is your counterplay? Because if you lose this pawn, white will build up his position slowly, probably win. So he took with d take e5. Then it's probably better. But then the question is, what should white do in this position? What should white do in this position? I see here a very, very strange possibility, but the normal move for me here would be knight f3, forcing f6, and then go back like this, something like that. But it's a bit different now when you have I'm not sure if this is right. Okay, d6 is also something you want to play in. But okay, we have this fantastic move here. What about c5? Is that possible? It's a very, very strange move, but I just saw it. Okay, because the idea is if you take with a pawn like this, you have a fantastic square with a knight, so that is not good. If you take with the queen, I guess you just play knight c4, threatening this one and this one. Not so interesting for black to do like that. But if you take with the rook, my idea was to play knight c4 with a double threat here and here. What about this? Is this interesting maybe? Anyway, can you play b5? Idea is if you take on e5, you can take here. This is hanging. This is something you do not want to do, I guess, huh? Maybe even this is interesting, this line here. No, but this is not. No, black is better here, so this is not a good solution. So okay, b5. Then okay, knight b6. No, but well, that's not so much. I think this is not so good. So okay. So let's go back. We have c5 is probably not doable. So what should white play? Okay, go for my knight f3, f6. How to continue here? This is like a key position here. Again, I like this move. And here also may sometimes even g4. But probably black is okay in this position. Probably black is okay. Can you play g4 here? Knight f4, take, and e5. Okay, then I'm sorry. Then you have queen c5, and it's not a good. Okay, can we prepare this idea to play maybe king h2? Okay, let's go for that. b5. Okay. Is possible. c5. Take here. What about this position? What is this like? Because I'm still not impressed by these rooks here, and white has got this pawn here. So, but on the other hand, it's not so easy to, you know, to get rid of the block on d6. So this seems okay. So the knight f3 came, f6. Now the question is how to proceed. Is it king h2 now? Yeah, in a way I like this move, king h2, preparing for all these variations that we saw in my tryouts earlier on. d6 is about to come. White is slightly better here. I'm sure, you know, must be, because it's a, you know, knight c5 you can take on b4. Okay, bishop d7. Maybe you should just prepare your position a bit, you know, because what you want to do is actually to, my idea was, you know, if you could find a way to push with g4, and king knight needs to go back, and then g5 to undermine this bishop, this pawn here with g5. But okay, rook e2 was maybe like this to be ready to do something. I have to watch out for this b5. Okay, d6 might be strong. So here white is slightly better, I think, you know, but on the other hand, you can see the time. That is the problem for white. 11 minutes left. Black's got 41. It seems like Francesco Soni is you know, a practical guy, not only thinking about all the elements on the board, but actually also on the clock. And of course, this is something you need to do when it comes to, when you come to this kind of tournament where you have no extra time. You just, you know, have this 90 minutes per plus 30 seconds. So okay, what happened? Let's go to this game, because here we had an interesting position that Simen and I discussed, and then after h4 here I was worried, because this just seemed to be winning more or less, you know, bishop, or not winning, but this, why not play h5? Tell me what is happening here. h5, what is happening here? You know, because if he takes on g3, you simply take on g6, and well, you know, threatening to take on, you know, this is game over, so this is impossible. So h5, he needs to take here. Now you can take on f5, but here white is better, you know. So is it better to play this position that arose? Bit, I don't know. What happened in the game was, say, like, yeah, we just move on. He took on d6, and then he played like this. We have this position. Okay, No doubt, white need to be a little bit better, but actually I think the other one, I like that better, the other possibility, you know, here, to push with h5. I like that more, this position, because this bishop is quite strong against h7 and so on. This must be better, and queen f3. Yeah, I prefer white for sure here. This is yeah, clearly better, I think. Rook g8. If you play something like this, and this is really, you know, it looks, you know, knight g4 and so on. I don't like this at all for black, so I think that Hampus had a good chance here to put pressure like this. So okay, this was probably better than this, I believe. Now I think the only move is queen f5. Well, okay, queen e2 maybe, but queen f5 looks very normal to me. Queen e7, okay. Here we actually also got, was this really, did he really play the best here? I need to check out this position here. Okay, I see. Well, one thing here, one move that is possible actually is to play knight to g7, because the knight is so strong on f5. And now it's not so easy to reach that. And if you play knight f5, take, and rook e4, black will have some counterplay. You know, okay, there are strange pawns, but it's not so important when there is only the rooks and the heavy pieces. So rook g8, queen f5, bishop queen e7. Okay. This is of course a question on how white should proceed. Black has gotten the intention probably to double rooks on the g file and try to do something himself, but that is rook g6 and something like that maybe. Okay, let's play queen f3. That was strange to my eye. Why? Okay, you want to put the knight on f5, but isn't it better to try to do something here than just waiting like that? You know what? To put pressure on black? Yeah, actually, I like this move here. This is the move I like. Because, you know, take. Now, the idea is to play b5 and, you know, to make weaknesses on this pawn structure. And you can hardly take, or you can never take here, because then it's check. You know, knight g7, knight f5. This is simply losing, because you have such a fantastic pressure with the queen on f6, and it's hard to get rid of it. So this is not workable. So after b4, a take, and now the question is what you should do here. This one, and still dangerous to take this one. No. I think that, you know, this is a big problems for black, this position. Can you even play h5 here? Possible? Or is it h6 is played, or what is happening? Okay, maybe not so good. Oh, why not? Okay, let's say h5. Maybe h6 here to protect, but then I thought that there might be something that it was in white's favor. Okay, let's go back. I have this. Okay, what is the position now? Queen f3. Yeah, rook g6 looks okay. Knight f5, was that played? Knight f5, okay. d7. And now the thing is that black will try to play knight to g7, swapping off, and then you have this double rook and queen endgame, and then the pawn structure is not as important as when you have these other pieces left. But I don't understand why he doesn't try to play b4, because when you have this kind of pressure on a pawn like f6, what you normally want to do is to open up another, another file and get another weaknesses. So, yeah. Okay. Let's go back and we'll see. We'll take another game. We have this game. I saw this. It is Felix Bloberger against Axel Falkevall. And Bloberger was with me earlier today after he has won his second game, really nice game against Ludwig Carlsen. Now he's facing another of the prominent and talented young Swedish guys, Axel Falkevall. It's got 22-43, but I'm waiting for Axel to take the next jump a little bit higher up. And in this position, from what I can see, there must be very good chances to make a draw for black in this position. The reason for that, actually there was one position that I thought of. It was this position, yes. Rook d8, rook d2. See, is this really correct? Why do you play that? Why not go for rook d5 or something like that? Rook d5, a5 and so on. And this will, will be a draw for sure. I mean, black may be even better in that position. So that was a very strange move to me to play c5. I would have, rook d5 for me is, something I would have played directly. This, because now I believe that the only one who can win now is white, because you have an extra, a passed pawn on the queen's side. For me, that was a very strange decision to play c5, because now, in this position, if white would have played, for example, rook to c1 or something, black could have taken on d4 and then maybe only b2 and, nope. So rook d5 here is logical. And then, you just a5 and at the right time, maybe c5 or e5 or, oh, okay. But still, it should be okay. But now, one finesse here, of course, is that taking on d2, if you take on b6, there is a checkmate on d1. You have to watch out for that one. It's queen take, queen take. But the thing with queen endings is that it's quite often that when white's trying to push his pawn on b2 or a2 to try to create this post pawn, what will happen is that the white king will normally be left alone and the black king can give perpetual checks. So black can also, of course, start to push a little bit with his pawns. So normally there is good chance for draw for both, if you put it that way. So, okay. g3, h5, this is a good move because you're ready to play h4. h4, of course, king g7, and now king h2. Okay. The classical plan for the one who wants to win this type of game is that you need to create a good fortress for your own king, and that is what he's trying to do. Now the queen is supporting the f2 pawn, and then he wants to push with a4 and b5 and so on. Another plan, and that is a very important plan for white, and that's why he has got some small chances to win, is that if you swap queens, then white has got real chances to win that pawn ending, because it will be a post pawn over there, the king must take care of it, and then this king will take care of the four pawns here. So, okay, king h2. A little bit more easy to play white. I still think that black should be able to hold, but white has got a simple plan to move a4, queen b2, start a push and try to get this pawn, outside pawn. A classical example of this type of endgames is when there is 3 against 3, for example. Then you really have good chances. So probably black should try to push his e5, e4 and try to create something with this e6 pawn. That is something to make use of. Okay, Axel still has got something to prove. I got a bit worried when I saw this c5 because rook d5 and this was much better, in a much safer way of playing. So that was a bit strange. Okay, now we had this position that we actually analyzed. B5 came here, and only 5 minutes left for Khan, and this makes me a bit worried, you know. And now, you know, threatening to take on C4, of course. And should you allow it? Probably you should. And King H2 play again. I like this move. We'll see. I also had this move C5 and take on B4. That was a possibility, but yeah. Okay, more or less balanced. You have the strong pawn on D5. It's hard for black to proceed, but maybe go with this knight to D6 or something like that, then something can happen. White needs to create something as well. Okay, we will follow this game to the end. Okay, here we have a draw, well done by Gustav Törngren. This is a draw position, so okay. We have Vignir, he won this game. As you can see, I don't know what happened here in the end. We had this position, yes, I saw this position. White has got a clear advantage due to the badly placed knights, not the least in the black position. And this knight is very strong, you know, keeping down the A7 pawn. This was what happened. And he tries to do something here. Joar, because you take on A7, then you have this take on A3. So what happened was bishop E3, keep it simple, just making an open file for the rook on the D file. And now it's really problematic for black, because you know what can you do here? If you go with a knight to C7, you swap off and you play rook D7. So I think he's simply losing, actually. This is what happened. Okay, this was a simple good move as well. Now, you know, I think you can take on A7, of course, but why do that? Instead, he played rook C1. Okay, ready to go to C8. Not ready, not easy to do something about. Rook C8, knight F6. Okay, put pressure. Knight C7. You can see. Rook C2. Rook C2. Is that correct? King F8. Can you go in here and then? What is happening here? I thought this was possible. Knight E5. Because if you take here, take on E8 like this, and take on knight D7. So, what do you do here? Do you have anything? Aha, he's got this move. I see. Then it's not so clear. So it makes space for the king to come up here. Okay, let's go back. Rook A8 is proposed. Okay. No, it was knight C7. So this happened. Rook C8. So in this position, if King F8, then you play this move according to the engine. Take on A3. Bishop D4. Ah, this is a nice move. Now I see. You threaten to take on F6, and then this will be hanging. Bishop to here. You can see the pressure, you know, and taking on. Oof. Now it's almost game over. Huh? Yeah, it is game over. Take on B4. Yeah, this is absolutely hopeless, I think. Yeah, this white will win this one. Knight G5 and so on will come as well. So this is not a funny position to play. So let's go back. What happened? Okay. Oh, I found this trick. Oh, this is lovely. Rook C2. You have this move. Knight D5. If you take on C8, knight take E7, take on C8. You know, it's a fork. If you take with the knight on D5, then you take on C2. So this is simply game over. Okay, finally, you know, a little bit more tricky. Take on B5 and then rook C8, checkmate on the king here. Yeah, he's strong in this kind of, you know, positional, strategic positions. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I just saw this position here. What about if you play b5? Because my idea was that if he takes here, I think it's so, I'm getting a bit sad when I see this game, because, you know, Axel had such a good, easy draw position, and then he, you know, this slipped, you know, because my idea now, if you play like this, I just thought you'd give a check here, move the king, and then b6. And now the pawn will just move forward, and yeah, this is winning for white. So now actually I think that white is winning now. a4. Here you really need to do something good with black. Yeah, maybe even get out of you with your king, come up with a king to do something, you know. But he played rook queen a8, a1, not good. Now if b5, if he doesn't play, okay, queen. If he doesn't play b5, what can he do? Queen c2, then okay, then you're okay. But b5, if you have to take here, take b5, take b5. Okay. Queen b1. Queen d4 check maybe. B6. Well, maybe it's possible to survive, but you can see that, you know, this is a dangerous position. And maybe even this move, yeah. And then the question is, what is happening here? Okay, I think that, you know, it's obvious that the trend is not so good for Axel for the time being, from having a slightly, you know, well, I would say slightly better position actually. And now, you know, you are really facing a difficult time. b5 was played in this game, yeah, and now, yeah, dangerous. So, and now I'm worried for Khan as well. You can see 2 minutes left, 35 for their opponent, and we have a position. Oh, g5 came here. That was a surprise. I just not want to see, and I didn't realize that we have such a different, okay. b5 and rook f3. Okay, g5. Such a strong. Why do you play g5 here? Oh, okay, you're ready to go. Okay, it's this move that is coming. But why not play knight c5 here? Then this is hanging if you take on b4. Knight c2, b4. You can take on e4. What is this position like? This, and this, I guess. Or yeah, this looks good for black. Or no, g4. Okay, what is happening here? Check. I don't understand this position. What is happening? What is happening? I don't understand this position. So strange. Okay, this is actually quite annoying. Rook b8, and c1, taking e4. What about this position? It's so strange. Everything is so strange. g4, if possible. Okay, I cannot even, I don't understand these positions anymore. What is happening here? Aha, yeah, and you have this one, yeah. Take. And what is this position like? In the end, I don't know. But okay, g5 came. Now king h2. Interesting move. I think this is the move I've been waiting for a long time, because, you know, the king is good on h2. But what is happening here? Okay, again, let's see. Knight c5, because this is what I want to play. Do you take on c5? Probably. Maybe white has got some good chances, because what I was a bit afraid, I would have been afraid of here is, you know, if you can take on f6, for example. Is that possible? Or maybe queen c1 first, but I was even tempted to go for this one. And then go for this. Take here. I mean, it's a bit crazy, but sometimes this works. Oh, well, probably it's too much, but okay. I'm sacrificing a full rook for this, you know, okay. Let's say, okay, so let's go for queen c1. You're threatening to take on f6 and take on here. h6. Now the question is, okay, oh, you have this move. Now suddenly this starts to look like something, because now if you can play, for example, knight to g4, you can be really good. So this is a sharp line. We'll see what will happen. Queen, king to h2. But the problem is that white has got only 1 minute left, and black has got 33. So poof. Let's go and see here. Okay, became a draw in this position. White must be slightly better, but he has managed Elam to, you know, to swap off the minor pieces. And with minor pieces off, it's not so easy to make use of a better pawn structure. The heavy pieces, they are not so sensitive for this kind of pawn structures. So yeah, I think that it was a correct in that position. Now we have Axel here. White is now clearly better, maybe even winning. He needs to learn how to play the queen endings, I believe. Okay, and here we had, to Frederick. He was winning, had been winning for a long time. You can see that he has 2 pieces against a rook. Check and take on g6. You know, well, this is a very simple win. You know, b4 came. That is, of course, a fantastic move. Take on c6, bishop b4, and this is hanging on a8. So this is so easy now. b4, strong move, protecting the pawn on c5, bishop to e4, it's ready to come. So simple winning. We continue to see here. We have beginning 1. Frederick is about to win. We have Edwin Trost. Okay. Fantastic. He's fighting so well. I like this. Black, you know, black has got 1533. Is the lowest rated player, got the chance in the last second, and is, you know, fighting so hard against Edwin Trost, the most promising young Swedish player. And Emil, I'm really impressed actually, because, you know, you can see that, you know, this is not easy. It's a queen ending. Of course, white is clearly better, but, you know, he is trying to do something here, gives checks and so on. Yeah, I like this. c6, and now, yeah, the problem is that white, you know, will be able to get out of the checks. Then this pawn will get promoted somehow for sure. So he has got no really a chance to save this game, I believe. He will try to keep up checking and so on, but in the end there will be positions where the white can be in between the black king checking the white king, and the king and will be checked. Yeah, I think white will win this. But he's fighting fantastically. I'm very happy when I see that he's much better than his rating for sure. So we have this. Okay, c6 came. Oh my God, why doesn't he play that? And we have here Sondre. But he's winning as well. This is very impressive. Against an international master, Jacob Payekin. Is this the position? Are you joking? Is this true? I must take a look at what happened here. No, there's something wrong. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay, and I thought so, but because this is so strange. So that is more like something strange happened. It's not the position. Okay. So what about this game? This is a strange position we have. Vandel against Briam. We have 2 rooks against knight and 2 pawns, but king b2, going for rook c1. It's very active rook. You can take on g7 immediately if you like, but king b2, king a3, and rook to c1. I think that white is close to winning this position, because when it's play on both sides, the rooks are very strong. You can see and your activity is what it's all about. You have a fantastic rook on f7. So this is, it's very hard to be able to hold this position. So I think that white will win this game. Now, if we can win this pawn here, you will have big problems, and they are splitted. So there will always be possibility to keep up the pressure on these pawns with the 2 rooks. Okay, so let's see here. To Frederick 1, yeah. And here. Let's move on. Yeah, Mitsov won in the end. We saw this interesting game with Simen. It was this position, I think, something like that. That was maybe not the correct decision. I think h3 here is more logical. Yeah, and go for this. Then you can even break with f4 maybe, in the right time. You can wait for b5 and then go for knight d4. Or yeah. So that was very, very strange actually, because I think that black is better in this position. So okay, queen e2. What happened now? Took. Because now, now, this knight is fantastic. This bishop is simply, not doing anything. So I think that was a very strange solution for black, Why did he do that? Because now, see that white, it's very simple for white just to keep up, pushing, giving up. It will be a mate on a8. Very strange end on this game, because black had played it quite good until he missed this in the end, h3 and so on. Let's see here. What more do we have? We have Arvind Rasti won against Victorias. He had a bit of a strange position. Wernberg won. Ida Gran won. Okay. We have David Nesse lost to Nerai Harish. Okay, Anton Frank is fighting against his teammate Mateusz, but as you can see, it is 1 pawn more for black. g5 might come at the right moment, so there are still he's trying white to get some kind of block. Then g5, just wait in that position. The knight on g3, just wait, and then we'll see if black can do something to try to. Probably you shouldn't move over with your king to the d5 or something like that. Put pressure on this pawn and then try to get away to get in. So yeah, okay, this was this game. So what more do we have here? Okay, William Olsson won against Oscar Morell, teammates. So and then I don't know what happened in the last game. Okay, I think we go back to the main game on the first board between Khan and Francesco Zonis. Now it has been a little bit of a change. It was, this is not what I think. King h2, knight c5. Because what we looked at was take, and queen c1. Huh? That was what we looked at earlier on. And now I think that this is dangerous for black. But instead, what happened was knight e3. And instead of queen c1, I like knight. I think the knight e3 is not okay. You want to play the knight to g4, but okay, b takes c4. You take in there. No. Okay, he needs to take with the knight, huh? Yeah. But now suddenly rook a2. Now it's black. So this was. I think this is a very crucial moment because queen to c1. Okay, if you take on c4, I believe that you take on f6 here. This is very dangerous because now if you take like this, there is this check. And it will be check again in the next move, and then yeah, it just falls apart, black position. So here, okay, queen c1. What would have happened here? Queen c1. What would have happened? What can you do here? Going in here. Now there is a difference in the position because after knight e3, take on c4. With the queen on c4, maybe. Okay. If you swap queens, maybe like this, yeah. Now we have this type of strange precision that, okay, b3, then they have to judge how dangerous that is, this pawn, but rook b1, and probably just take it, and this knight is a bit out of play. You have this. And not the least, you have the double pawn, these pawns in the center. So I would say that this is a very good position. But knight a3, knight e3, and then you lost this opportunity to get queen c1 with tempo, threatening to take on f6. So probably that was a huge mistake. Okay. Now Axel is is facing a hard time, because he misplayed the game a bit. Okay, we have this. And this was, like I said, here now. Okay, this is what happened. Oh, he found this. Oh, that was, oh, he did it. That was okay. Can you not make anything? You should play h6, I guess. So. What is happening then? I don't know. Now it's not so clear. Okay, king a3 or something, trying to push the a5 and so on. But this is a big mistake, I think. You play this. You simply took on c7. If you took with a knight, white would take this one. You play maybe knight e6, and then you take one of the pawns, and while simply winning the white that ending. So, okay. Trying to get some kind of perpetual, but take on h5, check, and go here. That's fine enough. White is simply winning. So, okay, let's go. Okay, we have this Mateusz against Anton, and here the question is if it's actually possible for black to win, even though he's got an extra pawn. It's not so easy because if you play g5, the king can just wait, and it's blocking these two pawns. So, well, he really has to do, to overcome some problems here. Black. Even though he's got, he needs to go for the queen side, and then push c5, g5 in the right time when the white king is on the other side. That must be the right plan to go for. Okay. Okay, this is a rook c4. Okay. I think rook a2 must be, you know, one second move. And the question is where to go. Is it on b1? Maybe even play this one. You know. Try to be fast. Or okay, rook e1 maybe. But why not go for this? This is interesting. Okay, it might be the same. Okay, like this. Take. And now I guess you need to start pushing with. Okay, go moving in here. Okay. We have a bit of a strange position here, you know, that it's not so easy to judge because, you know, white, if just white can, you know, do something, you know, get loose, you have this, but also you have this weakness here. You have a strange placed knight on h5. So actually, still, from an objective point of view, maybe white still has got something because this pawn is not dangerous enough to challenge this idea, you know, to try to go for an attack or something like that. So let's go back. Okay, let's go down. He is fighting well. I like this, what I see from Matthäus, and Anton is trying to do something, but well, maybe this can be a draw. You know, I like what I see. Let's see. Okay, but I still want to look at these games. I think now that, you know, here we have this position. Axel to play. White can put his king on g2, and then this pawn will just go down to, now for example, I don't know, 2, king g2, like this, something like that. Okay, like this, like that. Okay, the idea is, of course, that if you do it like this, then probably this is okay, huh? And now it's not so easy to win. What you'd want to do here with white is to find a way to make the king safe. The queen should have double tasks to protect the f2 pawn as well as forcing this pawn down. And here, that was played, king g1. This seems to be the key of this position. King g2 and queen to a4. This looks like the most important way to play. And then you need to play like I don't know. Okay. Still, you know, there are some difficulties from a technical point of view because there are so many checks with the queen, and it's not so easy to find the stable situation. Okay, so I want to have this as the main. Okay, here, but let's take a look at this. So rook to e2, then rook e1. So its suggestion is to play queen d4. That is very aggressive. What is happening here? What is happening here? Because now c5 is possible as well. I mean, this is really strange. No. So I don't think he dared to do that. So the question is, what is it going to do? You know, this one. I want to take a look at this position. e1. What is happening now? Okay, take, like this. What about this position? Somehow, I believe that, I don't know what I believe, but I don't think white is worse actually. Well, okay, b3 is what, you know, of course the normal, you know, queen c3, rook b8, maybe knight d1. How is this? What is this position like? I would prefer white actually in this position, because as soon as this queen leaves, then c5, if you can play that, you know, you have two fantastic pawns. So it is not easy to see what, you know, what to do here. So in the long run, white can have a really good position, even though, you know, this looks a bit dangerous, the b pawn. But is this really something, you know, to be scared about? Because you have this route of the knight to go down and so on. Not easy. Let's go back, see what we got. Okay, now suddenly, in the end, he started to push his e-pawn, but that's a bit too late, I think. What happened here? What is this like? 5. Okay, he missed this idea to play rook to queen to a1 and queen to a4 to, you know, somehow distract the connection between the queen and the pawn. So, okay, and now e5. Okay, now it's simply, you know, this is enough. This isn't enough, you know, to push this pawn. So check. Came. King g2. What do you do? Is it trying to get some checks after e3? But it seems like this is not enough. No. No. I think that this is something that white will win. Unfortunately for Axel, who has played a good game until he played the c5 move, you know, I was very surprised to see that. Okay, here comes it. I thought it was rook e1 that was going to be played. And now, what happens now? Take. Just need to check it. Okay, take and take. What is happening? Is it rook a3 now? Rook f3. Okay, the problem is that the rook now is, you know, forced to protect. Okay, this was actually played. Rook take, rook take, rook a. We have this position. And now the coordination is not as good as if you had played rook e1. This was actually a mistake, you know, this one position. This was a mistake. Rook e1 is much better, I think, you know. because now the red rook is ready to protect. Take, take. If you play this move now, the difference is that, you know, you've one tempo extra because this is already protected, so you can go for something, you know, maybe queen f2 or d6 or I don't know, some kind of tricks here. So no, sorry, yeah. So okay. Look at the time. Still black's got good margin on the clock. So the question is now, this is actually played. So the question is now, can black make any progress? This is a bit of a strange endgame, isn't it? Isn't white winning here? And to go to b8, take an a7. Okay. What is happening here? Is it this? Is he afraid? Aha, the thing is, you know, take a look at this. You know, now it looks like the bishop is trapped. But in the next move, he will simply play bishop b8. Knight take an a7. And you cannot stop the pawn, so okay, knight c5. Bishop b8 is simply winning for white. So no. What has happened here? Very, very strange, you know. Two seconds. Just fix here. So now I'm ready again. Sorry for this. So, like I said, it looks like after bishop b8, knight d7, take on a7, that the bishop is trapped. But you can always go back on b8 and then the pawn will move on. So this is an easy win. And this is a bit strange because we have the higher rated player is actually Jakub Pajekin, that is black. In this position, yeah, no doubt white is better, clearly better. But, you know, let's see what happened. a4, knight e6. I mean, this is probably okay for black, I think, you know, to put the knight on b c7 or something like that. You know, just to keep the tension, you know, just try to build a fortress. But what happened here? So strange. No. How can you? What is the knight doing over there? I don't like this at all. Jesus. G5. Okay, was this really? Is this correct? Check on G5. Bishop check on G5. No. King E6. Should have played, I guess, this mover. With the idea to go here, take on b6, a take b6, and then put the knight on c7, and it's okay. What a strange way to play. King d6, f4, and then on to g. So take this, and here I believed that this was better, because if this comes f4, you simply play this move and you take away possibility to play bishop to d8 and take on e. You know, you cannot take on e5, king take e5, threatening both the bishop and the pawn. So what a mistake. This is very strange. King e6, bishop b3, f4, check. And now it's simply lost. What can you do, you know, if you cannot do anything? King will move to d5, you move away, simply win. Or like this. Yeah, it's no, it's This is so strange game, this one. Okay, and what happened here? Yeah, white is winning, threatening checkmate. Check on f3, king g1, queen d1, go to h2. Oh, I feel sorry for Axel, who had an easy draw, slightly better even position, and then misplayed it totally, you know. Oh, that's terrible. And we'll see, what about Edwin? Is he done? And we have this here, okay. Actually, I think this will be a draw. I cannot say, you know, that take on, okay, that you really need to play like take on f4, king take, king f6, and then go move around with your king towards these pawns. That's the only way to be able to win, but I doubt it, you know. I doubt it. Hugo Van by one, yeah, okay, we have he won. Vandal won. Okay. Okay, we have this position. But this is very strange. What happened here? What happened here? Why didn't it play bishop to b8? Because now the idea is that if it takes here, like this, you simply take it, or you take it, and if this comes, you do this. This is not so, you know. Okay, still interesting, but now it's even black is winning here. Why didn't he play bishop b8? This is winning immediately in this position instead of bishop c7. Very surprised to see that. Okay. Anyway, I just want to see this because now it feels like, I know here. Okay. This is what happened. Queen d4. Okay. So the question is now, can you play c5, then probably rook c3, yeah? So knight c2. Okay. Here you really have something to, you know, can you take here? Is this just simply a mistake or what? What should you play instead then? Something else for sure. Queen e1. Yeah, queen e1 I prefer. Then you're threatening to take here, and you can maybe play knight c2, so probably a little bit of a mistake in the time scramble. Okay, now it's simply game over, I guess. Okay, he's losing this. That is, I feel a bit pity for Khan, who played quite a good game, but in the very end he misplayed it. The position, didn't find the finesse in, you know, rook instead of rook f2, rook e1. It would still be an interesting game to see if, you know, black Francesco Zones could find a way to increase the pressure. But now something has happened here again. This is getting more and more strange. This game, yeah. Because now what happened? Bishop c7. Okay, king d7. Now he played this. Okay. And of course now, if you play king e6 to protect the king to move forward, then he probably fans this. And if you do not play, okay, let's see, okay, we just go on. If we go king d5, g5, This is quite interesting because here this is suggested to go like this. And this is simply winning. Okay, let's take a look at this. And this is probably a winning position, but you know, this is because if you take here, I guess you have some kind, yeah, you have b6 check. Okay, that's winning immediately, so okay. But this is not an easy line to see, so let's see if we can find this. Bishop b8, he actually played g5 in this position. Okay. So now, okay, maybe you can even play king e5 now. If you play h5, then you play this song. Then g4 too. Okay. Strange, okay. King e5, h5, king f5, g4. Because now the idea is, of course, you know, like this. Now there's something else here. Huh? This would be a draw. So, oh yeah, it would be interesting to see now if, you know, you can make it. But actually, this is probably winning then. This. Now you have a check here. Okay. So I guess now 96, but okay, let's go for it. So we had this instead. We had this move as well. Huh? And if knight d3. Okay. Not so clear still. Okay. I just need to check out the other games. Yeah, this is simply winning. Here, what do we have? Yeah, it's this game left. Okay, one game left, more or less. I think that he won. I think that Edwin won this. What happened here? Now suddenly, what happened here? How did this king come in position? What? Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of was this. You need to swap off. You know, like c4 here, you know. Try to swap the pawns. That's the only chance you have got. And then if king g6, b5, if you play c5, probably b6 like this, c8, 92, h5, and you have knight g3 again, and this, and you have this check here. Cannot take it because b7 and white is winning. So here you have a critical moment in the game that this will be a draw if you play c4 instead of c3. Now, still, it might be a draw, but after knight f1, is there anything else you can play here? Knight e2, of course, is better. Play king h5, knight d4, should be c7. Okay. Now, still, you know, black, you do have some chances to win, but for sure, in this position, c4 was much better to take the chance that the king went away from the f5 pawn. So now you can start to swap pawns on the other side, because if you take here, this position will be a draw immediately. You know, with to take on g5, put the knight on g3, and so on, it will be a draw. So, okay, critical moment. Now we'll see if it will happen now. Knight f1, came up, came here, and now either king h3 or g3, I think all of them are winning. Or bishop d5 maybe, also possible. So no, black will win this for sure, because now the king can support this g pawn, pushing it down to the other side. So let's take a look what happened here. So what is happening here now? I want to see. White is thinking close to a win, but the question is if it is enough. So king e5, h5, king f5, g4. Okay, let's say that you play h4, king c8. Go back here. This is also quite promising, I think. And then you start to push this pawn, you know. The king can go for these. Yeah. So still there should be a win. Played queen to d5. Okay, and if you play this was it this variation here? Take on a7, king c7, take, yeah. And now king take, h4, okay, maybe e5, g4, e6, okay, now it's even easier probably. So here you have to do something else. Take here and you play g4, h take h4. At least you will get a queen first, but now you just need to start to give checks, and then there will be two more because you cannot take on e4 because of b6 check, and there is a mating attack going on. So you know, check on c1 and then queen c4, 2 pawns up. So okay, but it's not, this is not easy to find. So after queen d5 we'll see what will happen here. h5 is the only try that I can see. I mean, knight e6. Okay, maybe this is better. Maybe. It just feels like now it's a winning. e5. Knight. This. If you take here, I think you probably just take on a7. Now you can move this pawn up like that. And this should be winning. Yeah, this is winning. So okay, so let's, what is the position? King d5. Was this played? Okay, knight d3, e5. Interesting. Just want to check. Yeah, this was played. e5. Now it's time to think. I think white will win in the end. He didn't make it a little bit difficult for him, but seems like he's on track. Yes, Francesco Zonis won against Kukushari. It was a very interesting and tough game, but in the end he didn't find the right way to make his pieces supporting each other, so Zonis then could take over and win. Axel Falkevall, too bad, had a clearly drawn position, or even a little bit better maybe, And then, you know, it thought the queen ending was simple and didn't understand the subtleties. Yes, we have Wigner Vatner and Turfred Korsen. They are moving up again. We have a draw between Hampus Sørensen and Abdulf. They will be for sure, I believe, in the top when this tournament finish as well. We have Edwin. He won in the end his game. So he has also, I think, 2.5. And now we'll see here. Okay, King. Yeah, this is exactly what we thought about. Sondre, you have here. Okay. Okay. Yep. Interesting. So only one game left. It is this interesting end game. It should be a one now game now for white, because he has found the right idea. So yes, and knight e6. You probably take here. Yeah, that's right. If it comes here, you go for king f5. Knight d4 check. King f6. If you take on b5, you go e6. Now you cannot take on a7, because e7, that means that you have big problems here. This will come bishop b8 soon. Yeah, it's winning. Okay, so h5 came. What about king f5 now? Knight e6, my dear. Then you take on a7. What to do on this move? Well, this is simply winning. So, okay, what happened? He took on a7 here. Okay, and king c here. And now king f5 should be winning, huh? So this is the move to go for. This one. Okay. To go for this. You take here, here, and here. This was the variation we looked at. Knight take b5, then you play e6, and it's not possible to cope with these two pawns, so white will win this game. So, okay, let's see here. h5, took an a7, king c7, king f5. No, this was not played. This is the position. Okay, so we're waiting for king f5. There is, of course, other possibilities. Is this possible? No, that was a really bad move. The computer told me now knight e6, and we have misplayed. So I hope he doesn't play that move. King f5, but that is so logical. The other move that might actually work is this move. This is where I get a bit surprised, you know. But and then king f5. But king f5 is so obvious to play in this position, so I don't understand why you should do anything else than that. King f5 must be the 1 second move, you know. King f5 was played good, I think. No. I must take the king c7. Okay, this was played, I think. King f5 was played in the game. Let's go back and see so I do not miss anything. Yeah, king f5, of course. And now it is a winning position for white. So, because if you try to take here, pawn is running, and the black king cannot cope with both pawns. You don't have the knight that is ready to go back. So, yeah. Okay. g5. And black is desperately trying to find some kind of trick, some kind of last chance to go for. What to do? What to do? What is the best chance? It's hard to say. Knight e2. Simply take on g5. Doesn't make it better for you. Knight d4. Six, and the pawn will go down. So, okay. So, I think it's time to close down. We have, and the top, we have Francesco Zonis. His games have not been so far straightforward, but on the other hand, you know, he is the one who has been able to manage to, when it's tension and so on, he finds the final good way of proceeding. And yeah, I think you know, it's also a strength to win when you're, you know, you're not playing your best chess maybe, but still winning. That means that you have a high, what do you say, lowest level of your games. So he of course will be in the top when the top places, will fighting for first place. We have Sørensen and Abdulf, that I think, you know, Sørensen had a clearly better game, but Abdulf fighting well, understanding that he wanted to swap off the pieces, minor pieces, and then managed to get a draw. Felix Bloberger won a position that he was clearly drawn, or at least, you know, Falkeval with black was, you know, having a good position, but he misplayed it. He didn't understand the subtleties of the position, that you just couldn't swap off everything to get for this queen ending. That was actually a little bit better for white. Vigny Vatnar Stefansson, yes, he have had one draw against Edwin Trost. Now he's back again, winning. Tor Fredrik winning. He is coming back as well, just a half point behind. So, okay. No, I just want to check what happened now. Yeah, well, okay, this is okay as well. Now, what happened? He played king f5. Yeah, okay. So this happened. Now, again, king g5. Okay, king f6. What would you do? Yeah, that will win. So, thank you very much. Tomorrow, the round will start at 12 o'clock. And we'll see. We will have some special guests for tomorrow as well, hopefully. That will help me with commentating. Today we had Simen Agdestein, and we'll see who will turn up tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you. See you.